Hello, my name is Jay Odom.
I'm Billy Quinton.
And this is episode 1 of Rock 30, the new podcast. Bill and Jay's excellent podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Good job, Jay. You memorized it already?
I had to think about it.
This is our initial podcast, and we're excited to have two very key people here in the Rockwall and Heath community joining us.
Celebrities.
Right, celebrities. They could not make it, so we asked Rodney Webb and Trey Brooks to join us
I was
instead.
wondering how they got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're very excited to have the head coach of the Heath Hawks, Rodney Webb, former head coach of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, the Horn Jaguars, the Royce City Bulldogs. I'm not going to go through all of them.
Keep going.
It's a lot of time. We're going to be here a while. For Trey's, I can do a lot quicker.
Okay.
Head coach of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets.
I like that.
Yeah.
Loyal.
Yeah. Committed.
Committed.
Yeah. It's very
like
cool.
that.
That's why we're sitting next to each other this way, and Rodney's at arm's length.
Well, you were very specific. Make sure Brooks is beside me.
Yeah, I don't want to be near Rodney. No, we all have a good time about that. And for those that aren't familiar, Rodney was the head coach for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets for 7 years, I believe.
Was it 7 years?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Yep. 13 through 19, is that the
Correct.
time frame? Yeah, and so, exceptional years as far as really turning the program around when Rodney showed up from day one. His program, did a 180 as far as made the playoffs every year, made it to the state semifinals in your final year in 2019, I believe, and just one step away from the state championship there. And then Rodney moved on to Denton Guyer, and then about 33 other schools since he's come back to Heath. And then Trey took over, and Trey was the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And even before that, you were quarterbacks. Were you quarterbacks coach?
Receivers.
Receivers coach, that's right.
Okay.
And so Trey's been here 11 years total, right?
Yep.
And then last 4 years has been the head coach of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, taking over for Rodney. And so there you go. For those that aren't familiar with their backgrounds, and we'll have a few more numbers here I'll throw at them in a little bit,
right.
but it's going to be a fun time. We're here just to have a good time.
That's right.
Talk about a little bit about football, but we're also going to talk about a lot of other stuff.
Whatever comes up.
Whatever comes up. Yeah. So we're really excited about it.
All right. Well,
That we can, you had mentioned we want to kind of get off on the current affairs foot.
that's
you
right.
want to go there?
There's been a lot of stuff going on lately. And, we like to have fun, but we consider ourselves journalists, first and foremost.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think we need
Nobody
to
else does, but we do.
But we do. Yeah. So I think we need to take some of the hot clips of what's going on in the world right now, and we can kind of.
And we want y'all's
talk
commentary on this and what your opinion is.
There's a lot going on in the world. So
Right. And we don't want to get too controversial. We want to stay away from that. So let's start with abortion. What y'all's feeling? No, I'm kidding.
Trey just was like, and we got
What's
him.
y'all's stance?
And if y'all can see, we've got him trapped in here, man. This we call this the shack. This is about a 12 by 12 room.
Right.
Door locked. You're trapped. You
Yeah,
can't
I've been
get
looking.
out, both
Yeah.
of you.
I've been looking for my
You-
exit
no
options.
way out that way,
Yeah.
But you have a great view of the square. That's a cool
right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, so
Okay, so what? Let's see what's been going on this week.
Right. And we'll let we're gonna introduce Caden.
That's right. We got our producer,
Yeah.
Caden Deshawn.
Yeah, Caden.
I thought we were going to call you Sea-Dog,
Sea-Dog, yeah.
Sea-Dog.
I'm Sea-Dog.
Wow.
who is also the number one.
Number one varsity Rockwall tennis.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. I'm sure Trey knew about
He
that.
just plays tennis.
Yeah. I mean,
They're not impressed. So.
Yeah, it's not football.
Oh, it's
But you're
not
just
true.
a sophomore and number one.
Yes, I am a sophomore.
So what are the seniors think about that? When you play?
Actually, for most of this year, me and this one senior have been going back and forth, 1 and 2, and we're friends, but on court, I'm going to be honest, we don't like each other.
wow.
When we're at games, when we're at tournaments, we like each other, we support each other, but when we're at practice or we're playing challenge matches, it's
It's
no
on.
friends. No,
Okay.
no
Okay.
go.
All right.
All right, so
Here we go.
All right. So let's
So
see.
spring one on us here, Caden.
spring one, I will do the Miami Alien Ball.
Yes.
Bayside Marketplace. On New Year's Day, there was a massive police response in downtown Miami. More than 50 young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks, causing chaos.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance to the shopping area, Bayside. Today, the phrases Miami Mall and aliens of Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. Twitter, of course, now called X. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event.
So we reached out to the Miami Police Department. They issued a statement saying in part, quote, there were no aliens, UFOs, or ETs. No airports were closed, no power outages. Facepalm emoji was included in the statement. And to read up on the story that has gone viral, just head to our website at cbsmiami.com.
Read all you want.
Okay, so if y'all have y'all heard about this?
Oh yeah.
Not me.
First of all, they
I didn't
did
either.
close
I
it
didn't know
down.
about it.
The airports were closed. Did you see how many cops rolled up to that mall?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every cop car Miami had. For kids fighting with sticks, it ain't happening.
Were they fighting each other or were they fighting the aliens? They
Well, they said they were fighting each other with sticks. So it took 80 cop cars to come out, which you know how it's going in places like Miami. You can break into stores and not one cop car comes.
Right.
But suddenly there's 80. And what's interesting, people are saying, where's the video? Where's the video? There's a couple of videos. And did y'all hear about Tucker and his talk about aliens?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know he said it's something in the spiritual realm. It's so scary he didn't even want to talk to his wife about it. He didn't want her. Okay. So the images they took of those creatures was light orbs coming in and out. But so much of that has been scrubbed off the net. The Miami police won't say nothing about what happened, nor why they released over 80 cop cars. And I mean, if you look at the net, it's pretty crazy. So that leads to, what do you think about aliens? I mean,
Well, I'll tell you this: my daughter saw it on TikTok, and it's aliens. I mean, I
that's
don't think
pretty
there's any
legit.
question because she confirmed to me through TikTok that it's definitely
So
aliens.
it's
she's all in.
official.
She's
It's
like,
all in. I think it's case closed. Aliens.
okay.
I mean, as long as it was on TikTok, it's
Right.
gotta be.
It's legitimate.
You think they're putting false stuff out on TikTok? No way.
No.
Because my first thought is, okay, you could easily do some sort of, some graphic stuff out there. I know you can to make it look like it, and people are going to believe it. And they said it's 8-foot aliens walking around. My first thought is, where's Coach Gellner? Was Coach Gellner anywhere near Miami?
on that
Because
weekend.
he's like an 8-foot alien, and
So
so that you got to check on that. But I'm not sure I'm all in on the alien
Really?
thing. No. With the way things can be fixed now, the way you can just superimpose things and all that, there's a lot of stuff I don't.
But what
fall
about
for.
Congress? Congress meeting and all the Air Force
About
tapes?
this?
Yeah, not this, but aliens. All the Air Force captains who were like, "Yep." There's,
Okay. Quickly, I will just go to my dad worked in Strategic Air Command back in the day.
Okay.
And he had said often that we have weapons and aircraft that nobody knows about, and things we do that nobody knows about that people may see and think is aliens, but may not be. That's where I stand on some of that.
That it could be.
Yeah.
Does anybody know? Is there a chance there's a really good donut shop at the mall? Is there a chance that it was just 80 cops?
Right. Right.
Like nothing happened. There was nothing going on. Is
But
that a
they
possibility?
needed a reason. So it's kids
Yeah,
with sticks.
right.
Yeah.
So-
Just,
Do they have transcripts of every call that's made by police? I would think so. And I guarantee you sprinkles were mentioned a lot
yeah.
in those transcripts. Don't
sure.
you think? Chocolate covered, bear claw. That's all going to be brought up.
So let's keep our eye on this.
Okay.
We're gonna
All right.
we're gonna keep up. on
right.
this. All right. What else you got?
All right,
Sea dog.
Next clip I got is from Alabama. It is a
This is the
guy
best.
Who was at Bass Pro and jumped in. It's a long video, or it's 2 minutes, but the end is the best part. So
Okay.
play that.
Here comes security. But look how slow they're walking.
That's the opposite of the Miami scene.
That's right. They're like, sheesh, do we really want to deal with this guy?
Look at this guy.
So he's butt naked.
Oh,
Oh, he's going to go again.
Oh.
Swan dive. Swan dive. It's a 6.0 right there.
Look at
Oh,
that
he's
guy.
got to come right up to the glass.
Oh no! Oh my god!
Trey's really regretting this decision to be a part of this. Are we allowed to show this? Are you going to have
Look
to blur
at
some
security
stuff?
still slowly climbing
Well,
the
would
stairs.
you rush to that guy? I wouldn't.
He jumps out. It's like a whale. It's a whale.
Is it a merman? Maybe it's a merman. They're not even worried. They're just like strolling over.
Look at him.
This is my favorite part.
What?
Yeah, I figured he did not have much.
It's funny.
I think I would have tased him just for the heck of it, you know?
With the water. Imagine the
Yeah.
water with the tase.
Oh, yeah.
Fly across this field pretty good.
And what's this guy saying on the mic? Like, how do you explain this?
It does not really matter.
He's giving a play-by-play.
Right.
Look at the other guy. He's stepping
I
back.
think we're going to have to do some blurring when they pick him up here and we see things. Oh, look at this. He's flopping.
Oh, has he flipped over?
Oh.
Oh. Ow.
I don't think he's quite right.
I don't know. I think he's all there. I think he's fine. Oh, look at this.
Oh my gosh.
God.
So is there a chance this is the adult version of the kid on the Nirvana Nevermind cover?
Same guy. And then it's art, right?
Yeah. Was he chasing a dollar bill in the water?
That's right. That's right. That could have been it.
If you recall,
So-
Trey, I don't know if you know this or not. There's an old group called Nirvana. You're probably not really old enough, but had a famous album.
I vaguely remember hearing
You know
about that.
Nirvana, right? You're not-
Yes.
Well, that's clearly
So-
a defensive coordinator. That's all I can say. Probably jumped in as probably a late Friday night, maybe a Saturday afternoon after a tough Friday night loss. But there's no question that's a defensive coordinator for somebody.
Gave up 79 points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I don't
That
even
is
know where
funny.
you start with that. I mean, can you imagine the
Well, first of all, what got him to that point? Where he decided, you know what? This is it.
I've had
I'm going
enough.
to get naked. I'm going to drive my car through the Bass Pro. I'm jumping into the pond. I mean, there's fish and stuff in there, right? That's
Oh,
where you
yeah.
go. And
Oh,
Yeah.
bass
yeah.
and
I mean,
Yeah.
it's where you take your kids. I remember taking my son there the first time because you want to. They want to see all that
Yeah.
stuff. They want to see the fish and the stuffed bear and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And
Well-
you got a dude jumping in.
well, can you imagine the poor bastard that is perusing the trail mix aisle
Yeah.
and got his kid with him?
Yeah.
And splash.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So he could have been on something, but I want to talk about like what if it was a bet? Okay, what if it was a dare? I'm just saying like we would all do that. I think there would be some amount of money, right?
What
Yeah.
is- what is
Everything
your-
has a price.
What's your
Who's
price?
to say that right? There's a price on
what
everything.
is your price?
Okay, so
Because I'm assuming you'd lose your job.
yeah. But
Okay.
it would have to be enough money that I would be independently wealthy.
$100,000.
No.
You wouldn't
I
do
wouldn't
it.
do it for that. No. If I knew it was going to be videoed and viral, then to me that ramps it up a little bit more. I
Yeah.
think it's got to be somewhere in the low seven figures for me. I think I would do it for. I don't know if I do it for $1 million. I think like a $1.2 million.
Okay, we're starting a GoFundMe page for $1.2 million
For 1.2, you'll do it.
for
Let me
Rodney
hear the
Webb
word.
to jump into the
Well,
mesquite.
you must be pretty confident about your
Well,
dive to
Well,
think it's worth 1.2.
we know he's not confident about his gut. We know that when he came in, right? As he comes in drinking Metamucil.
That's not.
yeah, it's what old guys do.
Yeah, that's a true story.
It is.
Metamucil.
And Trey, tell him about Trey didn't believe it. You weren't believing him when he said that, right?
No, I thought it was some kind of like post-workout,
Protein
Yeah,
shake.
protein something. No, it was
Metamucil.
Metamucil, which I'll be honest, I didn't even know what that was.
Yeah, he had to ask what it was.
Yeah.
In a minute, Rodney's going to pull out some prunes and start chewing on those.
Does it keep you regular? Is that Metamucil?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is why people
Yeah.
are tuning in right now. This
It's
is what
it's
they wanna
it's
hear.
something called psyllium husk. It's psyllium husk, and it just
I'm gonna
it's
guess
just
that-
good. It's just
I'm guessing that Gracie got you doing this.
no, it's a long time deal for me. I 20 years ago I kind of
Really?
started. Yeah, started doing that. So
So you got to get started.
you want to have this deal at a certain time of day, you're going to take me as I am, and if it's during my Metamucil routine, then that's just what it is. So
You'll have to excuse yourself in the middle of this because there's going to be an emergency. Because at our age now, every time I have to go to the bathroom, it's an emergency. There is no more casual, I'll just wait. It is, I got to go now. Yeah, so, but anyway, as far as the price goes, I don't know if there's a price.
Yeah, it's for sure in the millions.
Yeah, it's in the millions. I like that Rodney already has a figure.
Like 1.2.
1.2.
GoFundMe, $500,000.
No.
Will you do it?
No.
Really?
No. Because I'd never be able to be employed again. I'd have to move, start a
you
new
would
life.
Be employed? That dude's going to get on every show in the world after this.
Yeah.
And he's going to make money off that. Eventually, he'll get hired somewhere.
Trey, what's your price? I think we need to do this if we can do a GoFundMe.
Mm-hmm. And get Rodney or Trey to do it.
What's your?
I
think we could raise $500,000.
No, mine's over $1 million.
Dad, God, I'd do it for. Mine's $500. 1,000.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. That's the biggest gap I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. You went from $500 to 500,000. You originally thought $500.
Well, I thought for head coach of Heath High School, that's a big deal. But I ain't got nothing to lose.
The other part of this whole deal for me is that I'm not very graceful in water. So that guy was like a swan in the water compared to me.
But once he hit the ground,
excuse me. Well, he did a cannonball in, right? Which is the best choice, I think, to do that. I don't think you do like a jackknife or anything like that. You do and he's right by the white-tailed deer stat or whatever those things were, the taxidermy deer. Jumped in.
You're saying there's a chance that you might drown also. So I mean that's got to up the number.
I wouldn't drown, but there'd be some flailing going on. The water would be significantly more churned up.
Well, I wonder if it's cold because that does play into this whole.
That's my other part. That water's probably cold.
Yeah.
We all know about shrinkage, and that's not a good look.
Yeah, $1 million. $1 million.
Oh boy, you're just going up all of a sudden.
$500
from $500 to now you moved up. You still haven't reached his 1.2, which is such an odd figure to me that he came up with 1.2.
Yeah.
Just a little extra. I feel like I'm just going to need a little bit extra for incidentals.
Salary as a Heath coach, I think.
Right, that's his yearly salary, and then. Believe me, I'm pretty sure it's close. But all the teachers are cool about it. They're fine with it. Yeah, the teachers are fine with it. But the other thing is, I always think of this. This is how you're getting old too. Taxes. You get 1.2, you're pretty much losing around $400 to $500 grand already in taxes.
Yeah.
I always think about that every game show. Oh, you just won, $100,000. No, you didn't.
Or the lottery.
Right.
Yeah, the lottery. Yeah.
Half
of it's gone.
Yeah.
And then if you're in California somewhere, more because you have a state income tax, and that more comes out. So, yeah. So there you go. So I think we solved that one.
You got another one?
1.2.
So that's it. So GoFundMe?
Okay.
Well, in Heath, they may come up with 1.2.
Oh, yeah, easy.
We got a shot.
Easy.
Yeah.
Well, when they're ready to run me off.
When that plane flies,
side,
when that plane's in the air with the sign behind it.
They all know what it's going to take.
Who's to say you would lose your job? Would you really?
I don't think you would. I don't
Pretty
think you
good
would.
idea.
I don't.
Let's just look at it like a buyout. It's my buyout.
And then at some point they got to welcome him back when they have reunions and stuff, and you got to show up back and explain yourself.
And they play, when they do the reunion video,
right? Got to tell the kids to be. He's just got finished telling the kids to be responsible and make good decisions. And here's the video of him jumping into the Bass Pro Pool. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to get into a little background for both of y'all. So we'll start with Trey here. Trey, first of all, tell us about your family, all that, your wife, your kids, all that.
Yeah, my wife Carly and I, we've been married for 15 years.
Mm-hmm. You better remember that.
Yeah, I've got twin boys, Case and Cannon. They're 11, sixth graders. They actually took their big trip to Williams Elementary today.
Nice.
Williams Middle School.
Middle
today.
school, yes.
Identical twins?
Not identical, no. Okay. They're fraternal. Yeah.
I've got fraternal twin daughters.
Okay,
yeah. Y'all could save money on a wedding down the road.
How old are they?
11.
Oh, yours
My
older.
girls are 15.
Okay. Got to wait a while. All right. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Everything's good.
So Carly and I met in college at A&M. Whenever that was, oh gosh, 03, I guess. But
like in the same class, or did you
just
through
friends? Through a mutual friend.
Right.
A guy that I played ball with. Just introduced us.
I'm sorry, you played football. You didn't go to class, so you probably wouldn't have met her in class. So I'm sorry, I jumped the gun on that one.
I've heard y'all don't have to study, you take tests.
Yeah, don't forget, I was a walk-on. I still had to do it. I had to do everything that all the normal students.
Okay,
do.
all right, all right. And then I want to talk about your parents. What did your parents do for a living?
My mom was in education, so she was a teacher, and then got into admin, and so she's retired, but she worked for her last, I guess, probably 10 years for Dallas ISD as the PE and health coordinator of the whole district. So, the education definitely in my blood. And my dad was a home inspector. He owned his own business that he just started himself in Georgetown, where I'm from. And so, built that from the ground up and did that for 30 years.
Wow.
He's retired too. He lives on Lake Conroe in Montgomery now. So
nice.
Yeah, my mom is out in Maybank, about an hour from here. So.
Now Randy Talley does the home inspections. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so maybe they could trade a few stories on that. I'm not sure how well Talley does it. I have a picture of him just showing up and just nodding his head. Yeah, it's good.
Home
Walking right back
You're
out.
good to go.
Yeah,
home
he's good to go.
inspectors in the real estate world are known as deal killers.
Are they?
Deal killers.
All right, Rodney, tell us about your family.
Well, my wife, Fran, we've been married 32 years. We got married when we were 10. No, 32 years ago, 1991, August 3rd, we got married. Met her in college at Tarleton State, very similar with Trey and Carly. We both worked at the Dick Smith Memorial Library on campus at Tarleton. She was, a senior in college at the time.
By the way, you can't go wrong with the term Dick Smith Library. I think that's a great name. I think it's a great place to go.
Highly respected guy, read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Big, very, very well-read guy.
I bet. Knew the Dewey Decimal System like the back of his hand.
Dick Smith and Dewey Decimal knew each other. They were friends.
Oh, way back.
Oh, yeah. So, so we, I was a football player at Tarleton, and my deal was that, I needed a little bit extra money in the summer, and so they took care of me. I was on a little different payroll than the other student workers, so I was. Everybody figured that out pretty early, so nobody liked me.
Right.
And I was an outcast.
Yeah, you think that's the reason they didn't like you?
Yeah, it had to be it. It had to be
right.
it.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, I was too handsome is the problem. That was the other thing.
We're going to show photos in a minute.
handsome.
You want to see if you stand on that? Okay.
So anyway, what started out as a little bit of a contentious relationship, she couldn't resist.
Oh, there you go.
So love won.
Yeah,
love won. So, and then we've got a daughter, Gracie, who's 26, Dr. Gracie Webb.
Yes.
She's a physical therapist, got a doctorate of physical therapy. She works at a hospital down in Waco, so she's doing great. Got her undergrad at Arkansas, got her doctorate at Oklahoma City University, and still single. So that's a little bit about my family. My parents.
I was going to ask you about your parents.
Yeah,
what they did.
so my dad was an executive with the Stetson Hat Company.
I did not know that. That's cool.
Yeah, he was. He was an executive there. So
and you never have worn a Stetson that I've known of, have you?
No, no, not really a good cowboy hat guy. I've tried that before.
Your dad wear 'em?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. Yep. He looked good in a cowboy hat.
What's your hat size? Like
I look
9?
like Hoss Cartwright in a cowboy hat. I mean, I put and I'm serious about this. I put a cowboy hat on, and people just immediately start making jokes and hurling insults. It's like people I don't even know, like they can't help themselves.
It's like working at the library again.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, that's what he did. My mom was, just a stay-at-home mom, and so we lived. The Stetson Hat Company is in St. Joseph, Missouri. So during my elementary years, we lived up there. I was born in Texas, but we lived up there while he had that job. And then they got homesick and wanted to get back around my older siblings who were already grown at the time, and so we moved back. And he became a salesman for Stetson. He just had a sales route. So, that's my
great.
parents. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about your college days playing football. We'll go back to Trey here.
Yeah.
If Kane, you could put up. We got a cool shot here. Look at this guy. Look at that. I mean, what girl would not want to go out with that guy? I mean, every girl there is like, I want to go out with that guy. Mm-hmm. That's a perfect photo. Now put up the one of Rodney. Now, is there any girl? Is there any girl that would go out with that guy? Is there?
Let me just say the lighting is so bad in that picture.
Look at there's no way that was more disinterested in having his photo taken than you right there. Look at that.
How old were you?
That was my sophomore year in college, so I would have been
12.
I would have been 19. Yep.
That's great. Okay. Now, let's give you a hard time, but All-American, 1989, Charleston State.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, Charleston State Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was a thin year. It was a thin year for nominees, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I think the same year was Handyman Al Carroll was inducted, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm trying to remember all the other nominees, but. No, those are great shots, though. So, Trey, tell us a little bit about your time at A&M. We were joking about it beforehand. You were actually a walk-on, but it's kind of a cool scene you had going there.
Yeah. So for those that don't know what a walk-on is,
like Jay, he doesn't.
No, that just
hypothetically,
hypothetically, for the rest of the world to know, I know, but let's let those
in case there's those out there that don't.
Yeah. So I went. I went to a tryout. It's kind of a long story. I don't want to drag it out, but so I was a sophomore, so I had been at A&M spring of my sophomore year. Just a buddy of mine picked up it's called The Battalion. It's the A&M newspaper, and saw there's an ad in there for walk-on tryouts, and and he knew that I had played. I played baseball with him in high school, but he didn't play football. And so he came to me and he was like, "Trey, you gotta go to this deal." And of course, I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. Well, we look and it's an informational meeting, and it was that day. So I was like, all right, if you'll go with me, then I'll go. I'll at least go get the info. And so we went, and this informational meeting, you were signing up to try out. So I mean, they started passing around the deal, and we're filling it out and putting all our info. And so, the funny part of that is my buddy, he didn't even play football, so he's asking me like, "What position do I put down?" And so we got all that
kicker.
done.
So was he the kicker? He was the kicker.
Yeah, and we filled all that out, and we had 2 weeks before the tryout. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna do this. And so I grew up loving A&M. Both my parents went to A&M, and so, followed the team really close. And so
it was your dream. You were going to play at A&M.
Yeah, but it was, I kind of realized in high school that wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to get a scholarship to go to A&M, and so I knew I wanted to go to school there.
Now, did you get any offers in high school at all?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No. So I went there like, I'm done playing football. Like I knew I was done. I knew I wanted to go to school at A&M. So. Oh gosh! At the time, I think I changed majors like 4 times while I was there. I think I was just general studies.
There it is. Well-rounded Renaissance man.
I know.
Yeah,
I know. It's embarrassing. So I said, all right, I guess I'm going to do it, and so kind of got myself ready for it, and went to the tryout and took us through the whole deal, height and weight, and we ran our 40s, and we went out there and did drills on the field and did that whole thing. And I thought I did fine, but more than anything, I left and I was like, I'm gonna get myself ready. I'm gonna do this again next year. And it was like, I'm gonna train for a whole year, and I'm gonna do it because I think I can do better than I did. There was 100 guys out there, wow. right around 100 guys out there, and so. I didn't think, I was like, I'm sure I didn't make it, but I was all fired up. I wanted to, I'm gonna get this next year, and so, and then it kind of like the movies is what it was. They posted the list, so 9 guys made it, and they posted the list on the locker room doors underneath Kyle Field, underneath the stadium. Posted the list on the locker room door, and I'll never forget. I just went there by myself. I was like, I'm just gonna go, just check it out, whatever, move on. And
kind of hoping, but not.
yeah, just not realistically.
Right now, I'm picturing Rudy, the movie Rudy.
Yes, yes.
Where you're at the thing
yeah.
and you keep looking, and now Rudy didn't see his name.
Yeah. We'll come back to Rudy here in a minute. Yeah, so I looked down the list and my name was on there, and I'll never forget. There was just a random dude walking by under the under the stands, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, dude, I just made the A&M football team. And this guy's like, what's going on?
Right.
So it was like a dream come true.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
That is great.
Yeah,
Isn't that a cool story?
9
yeah. Yeah.
Now at
yeah.
the tryout, was it all walk-ons, or was there any other players there?
Just all walk-ons and coaches out there, which I didn't know at the time, but I found out later. It was like the GAs and stuff. There was like no real coaches out there with us.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was like probably the offensive coordinator, and no, it was just some some guys that they threw out there.
That's
like,
great.
So this buddy of yours is responsible.
he is.
I mean,
yeah.
if he hadn't told you,
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, because I didn't have intentions of doing that, even though it was a kind of a dream of mine to play. Like I'd kind of moved on from that.
Sometimes
so,
you need the kick in the pants, and that's what he gave you.
He did.
You need to name that buddy. What's his name?
His name's Jason Hubenthal.
Okay,
Yeah.
Jason.
And you still keep in touch with him?
Yeah, he texts me every game day at Rockwall,
Really?
telling me good luck every
That's great.
single
That's cool.
game day.
That's a good friend.
That's great.
Yeah, he is a good friend.
We need to
so.
give him a shout out then. Does he watch the broadcast and watch the games? Do you know?
Yeah, he does.
Because we
Yeah.
do it live. We do live broadcast. Not sure if you're aware of that.
Yeah.
But we do that. Okay.
I've heard something about that. Yeah.
He didn't make it.
Wait, what broadcast? You do a broadcast? What is this you're talking about?
I'll explain that to you later.
His dream, as yours was to be a commentator like ESPN. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
he's
Well,
told me he
I'll say
does it,
this.
but-
My story is similar to Trey's, only I was on the bingo team at Texas State. And I walked on. And so, but I knew how to use that free space better than anybody. And so I got
that
on
got
there.
you on
Yeah,
there.
that got me rolling. Yeah. It was just my pickings after that. All right. So, Rodney, now, high school, you got offers? You got an offer from Tarleton State, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm.
Any other offers? You went to tell everybody you went to high school.
Yeah, I went to North Garland
Okay.
High School.
really?
Yeah.
You
Dallas,
know, that powerhouse, football powerhouse.
Dallas
right now.
suburb.
I went to Garland High School.
Is that
Garland
right?
House.
Is that right? We know
Wow.
a lot of the same people then, I'm sure.
Sure we do.
And who
So-
would, back in your day, who would win between North Garland and Garland?
Garland, I'm sure, right?
No.
They had their heyday, though. I mean, I think it was
they
the
did. It was
50s,
You did.
60s.
But it was the downtime in Garland High School football history. Yeah, they had been really good earlier and really good after, but during that period of time, probably a 10 or 15 year period, they were a little bit
40s
down.
or the 50s. Or,
Yeah, a little bit after. Yeah, mid 80s, the mid 80s. So,
So what offers
but
did you get?
I was a small college guy. Emporia State was a possibility for me.
Leon Lett.
It
Didn't Leon
was,
Lett go
yeah,
there?
yeah, sure was. Yep, Emporia State and Austin College,
All right. In Sherman?
Tarleton, yes. A few others, little smaller schools. And then the other opportunity, the only big school opportunity I had was Air Force Academy. But I was not mature enough. I don't think I would have done well at a service academy at that point in my life. I just didn't, it would have
Well,
been good for me, but I'm not sure I could have made it.
Let's
to
be
honest
honest. You
with
talked about your head size. The helmets are not like the
you. Yeah,
pilot helmets.
Right.
They're only so big.
I know.
That would have been hard.
Yeah.
So that's a good call.
Well, they could have probably pulled some of the padding out of the pilot helmet, modified it somehow, I think.
Okay, so you go to Tarleton State. Now, but it's a little different when you have a scholarship. You're pretty much set. You just got to perform. You got to do, do what you got to do there. And so, tell us about it. Pretty quickly. You're starting, aren't you, at Tarleton State?
Yeah. So I actually started the very first game my freshman year. I started every game that I played there in 4 years, 46 straight games.
Wow.
In fact, that was a school record, and which lasted one season. A guy that had been my roommate part of my time there actually broke that the following year. So, but yeah, I got it. I got very lucky. There was a returning starter that had a knee injury the spring before I got there, and was not going to be back until the latter part of the season. And so there was a spot that was kind of open, and there were 3 or 4 guys that kind of competed for it. And for whatever reason, they ended up going with me. So yeah, I got to play early on.
That's cool. That's cool. Now, after college, Any thoughts of maybe even trying out for NFL or anything? I mean, you go All-American. I know it's, what was it back then, Division II? Was that Division II?
NAI,
level?
yeah, we played NAI football, right.
Any thoughts of even trying out or anything like that to try to go? Oh.
Nope, none. None at all. No, a 6 foot, at that time I probably weighed 250 or something like that. No, there was no short
chance.
Arms. Yeah, it's short. I mean, none of the measurables. I will tell you this, though. An NFL,
exactly.
An NFL scout
We're just
came
trying
through,
to boost you a little bit here.
and he put us through a series of tests. We did we did a workout for this NFL scout. Some of the senior football players,
right?
And we took the Wonderlic test, which I'm not sure if you're familiar.
I'm familiar.
So the Wonderlic test is a written test that every pro prospect takes, and it's just kind of an aptitude test. And I remember ahead of time. No, look, I'm painting this picture like I'm a really smart guy. I'm not. Okay, I'm not. I'm a good test taker. So we're going to take the Wonderlic test, and I asked the guy. I said, he's like, you got this amount of time, and I said, well, if we finish early, what do we do? And he said, nobody finishes the Wonderlic test. Okay, nobody finishes.
So
it.
cocky.
So you don't even need to worry about if I finish early.
You're the guy rushing up to slam it down first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
then it
we're all
became
in
a
there.
challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it didn't even matter if I answered them right.
Right.
I just wanted to
I'm
get
first,
done.
and you just look at everybody.
So yeah, I finished the Wonderlic test early, and I remember I was so smug when I walked that Wonderlic
hard to
test up
believe.
to him
Yeah.
ahead of time. And
I can't believe it took a while for Fran to come around on you with these stories.
I know.
Yeah, but no, that was it for me. I was good. I was good. I was a GA the year after when I finished my eligibility. I was a GA for a year, and then I wanted to be a high school coach. I jumped right into it.
And that's what I was going to ask. So you always knew after football you're going to be a coach. Trey, same thing for you, or did you fall into it, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it really came from playing. When I played at A&M, man, it was just like, it just kind of clicked with me. And I had a really good position coach that, man, just treated me great. Even as a walk-on, he just did such a good job of treating everybody the same. And so that's really when I decided I wanted to do it. I got a pretty good look at what it's like to be a college coach and decided I didn't want to do that. The recruiting aspect and all that. There's just a lot more.
A lot of politics.
Yeah, a lot extra. And played with a lot of guys that were told a lot of things, and then they didn't come true. And I'm like, man, I don't know. I can't do that. Can't do that to kids. And so that's when I decided to go the high school route.
And Rodney, you're kind of the same thing. Have you ever wanted to be a college coach, or have you always been satisfied high school?
Yeah, I've always seen myself as a high school guy. There have been a couple of college opportunities come up along the way, but I just, I know enough guys that coach collegiately. You're familiar with the Nick Sabans of the world and the Division I head coaches and coordinators, and it's very financially lucrative. But what you don't stop to think about, a lot of people, is that's the top 1%.
Yeah.
There are a lot of college coaches that either can't find a job and they're not certified to teach and coach in high school, or they're at some small university making below the poverty line. And that's the majority of college coaches. So I just felt like, in high school, even though some of us move around a little bit, you're typically moving around a small area. You're not moving across the country. But in college, when you go from job to job, you may be moving across the country, or at the very least hours away. And I know guys that have kids that have been in 4 different high schools in 4 years, and I was not going to raise my daughter somebody that I was pulling across the country for my benefit. So I just decided.
Military kid.
A little bit, yeah, very
it is
much.
a little
Yeah.
bit
Well,
like
and
that.
also if you're in that lower level college coach, you're the scapegoat too, right? If the season doesn't go well, those guys are the ones lopped off pretty quickly,
Yeah.
right? The tight ends coach and those
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
And
So my one opportunity to go Division I was after the 2010 football season. I had an opportunity to go to Texas Tech. Well, the guy that ended up taking that spot, I think it was when Tuberville was there, and I think it was either 1 or 2 seasons that he lasted, and then he was out. And then the next time I saw him, he was coaching at a junior college somewhere, And so I thought, well, it's a good thing I didn't do that.
Yeah. Okay, Trey, who was the head coach at A&M when you were there?
Dennis Francione.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry about
Yeah,
that.
that's dark.
Well, he left there and then went to Texas State.
Yeah.
Ruined that program for a little bit.
Did you like playing under him?
I mean, I appreciate
You
him
were
for
just glad to
giving
be
me
there.
an opportunity.
There's
However,
the politically
it-
correct
it
answer.
Was
was-
he ultimately probably the guy that said Trey Brooks? He's one of the 9.
Definitely not. No. In fact, I'm not sure that he knew my name whenever I got done. By
Right.
the time I got done
Did
there,
they ever say what they really saw in you to be one of those 9 out of 100?
I think I was just a warm body. No,
You had something to be 9 out of 100.
yeah, I don't know.
There was always the story. Didn't he get one time on the sidelines? He was eating like Hostess cupcakes or something. He got caught eating Hostess cupcakes or something. And I remember when the rumor was he was going to go to Texas State. They confirmed it by saying all the 7-Elevens are sold out of Hostess cupcakes, so we're pretty sure he's coming. Whatever. Did you remember anything like that about him eating
I
that?
don't remember
That
that.
was always the thing I remember they talked about. But yeah, that's tough. Who was the head coach at Tarleton State when you were there?
A guy named Bill Pringle was the head coach my first 2 years, and then Hal McAfee, who was a legendary player from the University of Arkansas, took over as the head coach my junior and senior year, and then the year that I was a GA. So I had
And
two
what kind
head
of
coaches.
seasons did y'all have?
We had great years every year I was there. One of the really cool things is that one of the reasons I went to Tarleton was that I felt like I could play early because of how bad they were. They had been an abysmal team, and I felt like I could go there and play. My dad actually had terminal lung cancer my senior year of high school, and he was going to be able to watch me play 1 year of football. So I thought, I'm going to go somewhere that I can maybe play some as a freshman, so my dad can see me play. And it worked out great. I wouldn't have. If I had to do 100 times over again, I wouldn't do it any different.
Yeah.
But it just so happened we were really, really good. In fact, we were really contenders for the national championship 2 of my 4 years there. We didn't win it, but we were really, really good.
He get to see the whole season.
He did.
That's good.
Oh, that's
Yep.
cool.
What kind of years did y'all have? What were the bowl games and stuff like that?
Best year was my junior year. We went to the Cotton Bowl when it was actually at the Cotton Bowl. We played Tennessee and got the brakes beat off of us, but it was cool
you-
being there. I was there, yeah.
Did you play? Were you in the game?
Nope. I was not.
didn't get in?
No.
So there wasn't a Rudy moment then.
There
where you
was
got the
it.
sack
No,
and all that.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I can.
Wait, real quick. I'm sorry. Rudy's a movie about a guy that walks on at Notre Dame and finally gets to play.
Okay.
Yeah, because for those y'all who don't know, Rodney, I think you've seen a total of 5 movies in
Something
your life.
like that, right?
It's very disturbing. He
Yeah.
doesn't watch movies. And so anytime you make a movie reference, he has this glazed look on his face.
I've seen Titanic. I've seen Caveman. I've
That's
seen
a movie?
No wonder.
Yeah. Have John Matuzak was in it.
Yeah, Barbara Bach.
Ringo Starr. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
Ringo Starr.
I've seen Gone Girl,
Okay, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
and then I've seen Saving Private Ryan and Ghostbusters. That's it. I think that's the only 5
So,
movies I've
like,
ever seen.
everybody in America has seen Jaws. You haven't seen Jaws.
No, I actually did.
You've seen Jaws? Okay. Star Wars?
Forrest
Yes.
Gump.
You've seen Star Wars.
Yeah, I've seen Forrest Gump. I've seen all
Okay,
of
so
those. Yeah.
okay, you're
there's
doing
one
better. This is
You
better.
are doing
But
better.
there's one movie that has made you cry.
Yes.
Deep
Yes.
cry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Titanic. It got me. Titanic.
Caveman. Caveman, he gets
Caveman,
emotional when John Matuzak
Now,
bonks Barbara Bach
If,
over the
if
head.
you don't cry when you watch Rudy,
You're
not
not
a
a
human.
human.
have
No.
you not seen Rudy?
No.
Go watch that.
Man.
Yeah.
But I will
Watch
let me
that.
say, I will say this. I've heard Rudy talk at a coaches convention one time.
Okay.
He
And
spoke, and I did not care for him one bit.
Okay.
He had a very canned speech. I didn't like it one bit. So
The movie's
I'm
good, though.
for it.
The actor's better.
I just feel
yeah,
like
Sean Astin.
I just
is
feel
in
like
it.
movies like that they're not realistic. I feel like it didn't really go down like that.
Well, all right, Trey, what do you think of Rudy?
Well, what I was going to say earlier when I said we'll come back to Rudy.
Yeah.
People have made comparisons like mine's a Rudy-like story, but here's what I always say: I didn't think Rudy was very good. He wasn't a very good player.
No,
I feel
he
like,
wasn't.
I feel like I was better than Rudy.
Right.
Maybe it was a similar story, but
No.
dadgummit, I was better than him.
No,
Like,
but you know what? You know what you can't measure, Trey? His heart. You can't
right.
measure that. And that's what he had. He had heart.
Exactly.
And but no, you're right. Because when you
Yeah,
watch it,
'cause
you're
Rudy
like,
sucked,
I'm better than
let's
that
be
guy.
honest,
I'm
yeah.
better than him. But he does get the sack at the end
Yeah.
and all that. But there are some fictitious things put in the movie.
Yeah.
But did he though?
Yeah, he did. He really did get the sack. They have a video of it.
Did he beat a block? Because a lot of people get sacks. They get turned loose.
No, I don't think he beat a block. I think they just let him go, and he blitzed in there, and he got a sack. It was at the end of a game, and it was like Georgia Tech, and the game was over. And so he ends up getting a sack, and then he gets to stay in for another play, or so, and then they carried him off the field. Those two things, I think, are accurate. A lot of the stuff in the movie is not as accurate, from what I understand. There's a famous scene where they all put their jerseys down on Dan Devine's desk and say we're not going to play unless Rudy's in the game and all that. That's fake. That never happened. There's no college player in the world that would do that.
Yeah, and they probably hated him.
Right, right.
I'm pretty sure they did.
I will say this, a little bit of a tidbit, Vince Vaughn's first movie, he's in it.
Yeah.
And that's how he meets Jon Favreau, and they start making all their movies because Favreau's in it. He's like a major player in it. And Vince Vaughn's in it for a little bit as the running back, I think, on the team that has a
guy that like never really panned out.
Right,
Yeah.
his dad played there, and he was forced to play, and he doesn't pan out. But he's the one that makes a play at the end to get Rudy in the game.
Yeah.
And so
Did y'all watch the what's the Sandra Bullock movie?
Oh, Blindside.
Blindside.
Yeah.
I've been scarred by that.
Did you know the lawsuit?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the reason. I can't watch anymore because of all that. You know about that, right? Where
I have heard
Michael Orr suing him because apparently the movie was really not that accurate.
Right.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't
Well,
I didn't know
and
that.
he didn't get enough money out of it.
Right. Yeah, he got no money out of the movie, apparently, and they kind of told him, and they said they adopted him, but he really wasn't adopted. They were just his guardians, and apparently they lied. And there's a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff that's not good. So it kind of messes up the movie now, because you watch the movie, and you're like, oh, my gosh, that's
Great kid,
yeah,
great
oh, my
family.
gosh.
Yeah.
Then you find out a lot of it's not.
Well, money ruins everything.
All right, football movies. They're hard to do realistically. Do you agree?
Oh,
yeah, my wife hates watching anything football, a football TV show or movie with me because I'm just overly critical of the whole thing. Like just even things like, we were watching the Friday Night Lights TV show.
Yes,
And
I ripped that apart.
yeah, and it's
That's
things
totally
like
realistic.
they're out there at practice, and he's wearing like khaki pants at practice, and I'm like, no coaches wear khaki pants at practice. Carly's like, can you just shut up?
The best part of that movie is don't they make like either the state championship or something, but the stadium is not available. I forget so they build the stadium real quick to play, and I'm sitting there going, no, I'm out. I'm out.
It's raining.
It was raining.
Yeah.
And they went and rented lights, and they built stands, and they played this championship game in high school, Texas high school football. And they're just like, yeah, this is fine. This will be good. This will work. And I was watching it with I'm like, I'm out. I'm out on this.
Yeah,
This is too far.
I don't think I made it that far.
Yeah, I can't watch any football movies for that very reason. I may start it, but there's no way I'm going to
The one thing they also mess up in football movies is the huddles. They have like 30 minutes in the huddle because they're just having long conversations. They're just talking about things and stuff, and
life goals.
Right. No, you got to. But I'm like, dude, you have a 40-second clock.
Yeah, I want to
You
see.
should already be on the line.
I want to see more delay of game penalties in the movies.
No,
That would be fun. Everybody would enjoy that. Yeah.
Trey, you mentioned your wife. So tell me, both of you, your wives and football, the relationship.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I'll tell you, with Fran, she has evolved over the years. Okay, over the course of time, she really is. She's a pretty knowledgeable football person. I mean, she's been to so many games. She's been to practices. She's seen it all.
And she's an athlete.
Yeah, she was a former athlete, track basketball athlete growing up, volleyball coach actually. So the one thing I say about her is that as I've gotten later in my career, she's gotten a little bit older and more opinionated. She's a little bit more willing.
She's giving him notes at the end of every
Right. So
game.
it's like after a Friday night game, and it always takes me a while to unwind. I'll watch some of the game. A lot of times you hang around the coach's office, get uniforms put in the wash or whatever, and coaches are chopping it up, and then I'll usually go home and watch the scoreboard show, and then pull the game up on my laptop and watch some of it. So it might be 1:30 or 2 a.m. before I get in bed on Friday nights, and but I'll get in bed and lay in there and all peaceful. It's dark in there, and it's just as I'm getting ready to nod off, she'll say something like, "Sure did play a lot of zone coverage tonight."
And you thought you
Yeah.
threw that.
And
Right.
I can picture that perfectly. I can just picture, because Fran's so just very casual about stuff
Yeah.
and just kind of just and introduces it into the conversation, but a little biting.
It had been on her mind.
Sure.
Jackson Smith, somewhere early in his career, freshman or sophomore year, there was a week where he didn't have a lot of catches, didn't have a big impact on the game. And although it seems like we won, I'm trying to go to sleep. She goes, 2 words, Jackson Smith. So it's a little bit like you're crawling in bed with like your biggest critic dad on the team, the backup quarterback's dad or something, you know.
Right.
So you want to make her happy.
It is.
You're wanting her approval.
Yeah, so I've gotten to the point now that I try to flush it out early. Like I don't want to wait till I'm about to fall asleep. Let's go ahead and have the conversation.
Do you come in all defensive?
Yeah.
At times, like, okay, you're going to ask about the blitz. You have to go in there and just explain it ahead of time.
Yep.
I'll tell a quick story. I remember this. We talk about family and football. I remember when I played, the big thing was the dads would go down to what we at back time it was like Freddy's was like this diner that all the dads went to on Saturday morning after the Friday football game. And my dad went every Saturday, after the game. And I had a bad game one time. I just remember I had a couple drops, and this was a bad game. And it was that Saturday. You have to go to weights and film. I'm getting up, and he's getting up to go. And he's not going. I'm like, oh, aren't you going to Freddy's? Nah, I'm just got a lot of stuff to do around here today, and I'm just kind of tired. I'm like, then I realized, because he didn't want to go down there and deal with what the hell was happening with your kid, whatever. And it's just like the family thing. So Carly,
I've always said I think it's harder on the dad.
Oh gosh, yes,
no question.
There's no doubt about it, or just the family. But yeah, the dad definitely. Yeah. Now your girls, do they play sports?
They did.
Okay. Oh, they did. They haven't. They don't anymore.
Dance.
Okay.
So
they dance.
I get
Okay.
to go to long.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun.
So all my friends get to go to football games.
This is why you don't know anything about sports.
That's right.
You had twin girls at dance.
If you want to hear about dance moves, I can.
That'll be our next.
A pot of beret.
Let's do that next broadcast. Let's do that next podcast.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Carly, how's Carly?
So I was just sitting here thinking about it. A big portion of my career has been, and so my boys are 11, and so like it has been a while since she's actually been able to watch a game. I mean, until just recently. So they're ball boys now, so they're down on the sideline with us. But I mean, she spent years like just chasing them around and just making sure they got whatever they need. And I would ask her something about the game, what'd you think? And she's like, I have no idea. Yeah, exactly. And she'll be mad at me for saying this, but there's a couple of instances that I can remember. One in particular, it was actually when they were real little. It was after a playoff game, and a playoff game that we lost, and kind of having that moment after the game, with the guys and hugging the guys, and everybody's crying, and she walks up, and there was a group that was real special to me. I'm hugging the guys, and she walks up and she says, "I'm done." And she's got the boys in the stroller, and I was like, "Oh, all right." She doesn't care about the moment that we're having. No,
you had the double stroller.
Yes.
So
yes.
As a father of twins, and you've only got those 2 boys.
Yeah.
When you heard twins.
Well, yeah, it's
because I remember that moment clearly.
Yeah, I remember it too. And the funny thing with me is that I never really even thought of that as an option. Like when they told me, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And so it was just not something that I didn't even.
Did you know it was boys at the time?
No,
okay.
not then, not at that
not
point.
That time, yeah.
But
there were 2 of them.
Yeah.
And
I was
let me
like,
tell
okay.
you about Case and Cannon. Though we do a pregame show. The biggest hit we get, the people that ask for the one thing they ask for the most is those boys will do the starting lineup on our pregame show, and they sit down at the desk, at Trey's desk, and they go through the starting lineup, and they show clips of the guys as they say them, and it's the best thing in the world.
Really?
Go back to a game,
they
they didn't do it as much this last year, but they did a lot
it.
more of the previous years. That is the best thing in the world, man. It's so great. They're all in.
Are they athletes?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Yeah, they whatever's in season, they play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honest answer. More pressure. I know that you have to do some play calling for their football team.
Yeah.
More pressure, high school playoff game or calling your boys' game?
Way more in their games.
Yeah.
No question.
Parents angrier. Hard to deal with.
And I feel like everybody's like, shouldn't he be able to score? Like I'm telling you.
So when you're going to your boys' games as a spectator.
No, I'm helping coach.
He's
those
coaching.
Games.
He coaches.
Yeah.
Calling the plays.
He's calling the plays.
Yeah, and
Like that's your job, or you're just doing it?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's
The
my
pay's
job.
not
I don't know.
good. Pay's not good.
You're not just a spectator. I mean, I know.
Oh
there's
no,
lots of-
Did
no,
y'all
like
win the-
I'm,
did
yeah,
y'all
I'm
win the
helping.
championship?
I'm helping
You
coach
are
the
part of
team.
it. Okay.
Did y'all win the championship?
We did win the championship.
Okay, you better
We
win the
did.
championship.
Funny thing about that is, this is an indictment on my play calling, I guess. I don't know, but when they played the championship game at the same time that we were in pregame for the Waxahachie game.
Oh,
in
my.
the second round of the playoffs. So I wasn't there.
Right.
It was our best offensive game. They won the championship. So yeah.
And how many parents were there seeing you're not there, knowing that you're at the and probably
Yes.
mad that you've chosen to go to the high school game over
I'm sure.
But
I'm
they're
sure.
this one.
wondering,
Right.
why did we just win this?
Right.
Well,
Wait,
and
things
my-
kind of worked out.
Yeah. And my buddy who helps coach that ended up calling the plays for that game, it was like the best thing that ever
Sure.
happened to him. You know.
Okay, I want to
loved-
go into now. That leads me into one of my favorite stories. Both of y'all were involved, I think, is the Allen playoff game. Not the
Yeah.
one that you won, but the one at Williams Stadium the year before. 18, I think. It's 2018. Is that right?
Yep.
And you explain to people that you have a dummy signal caller when you do your signals, and then you have one doing it live,
So this
right?
is you as head coach, and
but-
you as
Yeah. So I'm the offensive coordinator. I'm in the booth.
So
Right,
who
and
are the
and
two calling them?
Myself and Jordan Johnson.
Right.
And so we both signal, okay? And you would think that, well, the head coach is the one live, but that was not always the case. It really kind of alternated back and forth week to week, with few exceptions. But one of us would be live and one of us would be the dummy signaler. And we've gotten really good about
And really, real quick, explain why you want to do a dummy signal to folks that don't understand.
just keeps people from stealing your signals. If there's only one signaler, theoretically you can figure out what the signals are, and people really do work hard at doing that.
Yeah,
So
I hear
do
that.
You do that? Do you guys know potentially signals from the other team?
You're talking to the king of the signal stealers right
Okay,
here.
so you-
This guy.
No,
This
this
guy.
is not something you're supposed to.
He should be on the Astros. I mean, that's how crazy. Michigan called him this year to come up and try to help.
yeah. I was their consultant, Michigan's consultant.
Just to throw that off.
Right.
Yeah, just to help throw
And
it
this
off.
is a
So
standard kind of thing done.
right,
Okay.
right. So Trey's in the box and Jordan and I are on the sidelines. And if you remember the first play of that game, we scored a touchdown. So you call the play on the sideline,
so
when
no
they're all
signal.
gathered up, no signal. So the kids go out there and run the play.
Yeah.
Well, we scored. And then Allen comes back and scores 7-7. We get the ball again. We call the play from the sideline with the players there. They run out there, and it was an RPO to J.J. Williams, and he goes about 65 with it. So now we've got the ball on about the 10 or 12-yard line.
He almost scores on that play. So
Right.
it's two plays that we've scored on one, almost scored on the other. They're both from the sideline. No signals.
Yeah, so now the first signal of the game, and again, to have been there, there's 10,000 people there. It's one of the most electric
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yes.
high school atmospheres you could ever be a part of,
Yes.
right? And so, I mean, it is the hair standing up on everybody's neck. And so we go running down the sidelines after this big gain, and I'm like, Trey calls the play, and I was always tell Jordan, I'd say, okay, ready, go. And so we signal at the same time, right? And so we're both signaling. Our quarterback, Jacob Clark, he sees the signal, then he looks back over, and then he looks back again, and he holds his arms up. And I'm thinking, Jordan, come on, man, because Jordan's the live signaler. I'm the dummy signaler, right? So I'm like, Jordan, come on. The moment's got a little bit big for Jordan. He's a young guy. The moment's got a little large for him,
He's now a head coach, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
He's
So,
doing better. He's doing better for me.
so he looks back, and we want to get a play in. So I just signal the play to Jacob. I mean, I'm the dummy guy, but Jordan, he can't handle the moment. I just signal the play to him, and so we run the play, and then we get it down to about the 5-yard line. We're going to call another play. So once again, I'm giving these wild dummy signals, things that
Like, give
don't
an
even
example.
make
Let's
sense.
just- let's
Well,
just-
I can't remember at the time
You
'cause
doing this
our
number?
terminology. I'm doing one of these. Yeah, I'm giving a yuck, one of those, one of these right here. And no, I was given actual signals, but not like formations and plays that would go together. So it was
random
it was
combinations,
nonsensical. Yeah. So we call So I dummy signal that play, and Jordan, calls the play that Trey's called, and Jacob Clark once again he kind of looks back over and we run some crazy play, like I don't even know what we were running. Nobody knew what was going on, but we scored a touchdown. We scored, and it was some play out of some formation that was not even in the game plan.
Yeah,
and nobody knows what's going on.
And I'm up in the box going nuts. Like, we scored. And
This is not even close what you called.
It's, right, well, and it's 14-7, and, like, it's an exciting time. We should be excited. And I'm so mad at that point because I'm mad at the players because they're not playing fast. I'm like, what is going on? H-back lines up on the wrong side. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
And I'm mad too. I can't figure. I don't know what's going on. And so we're trying to figure it out. And Jordan says something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but it triggered me to realize I was the live signaler.
Which is why everybody's just staring at him, waiting for.
And you're doing all
just
these
a crazy
things
man.
and all that.
Yeah, Jordan's giving the dummy signal, and we're running plays that don't even go together with a formation.
And you're scoring against Allen.
Yeah.
This is one of the top teams in the
So
state.
you basically proved your job is not really that important.
Absolutely, that's no question about it. It's not really that important. No, not at all. It's the equivalent of an unmanned car. Somebody leaves the car in drive and gets out of it, and it parks itself in a parking spot without touching any other cars. It's the equivalent.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, if you're good with this, Jay. What is the wildest conspiracy theory that you fully believe?
You asking me?
I'm asking you, or whoever, if you got
It's
one.
not aliens.
Right. Well, no, aliens, he believes
it was
it.
you who-
It's me, I don't believe it. Is it the aliens?
No. I would say I'm not huge on the conspiracy theory, but and I don't want to be too generic with this, but I don't believe Oswald acted alone.
I'm with you. That's me. I'm with you on that one. That's
We're
mine.
going to find that out when a couple of weeks,
Oh, are we?
when security guy comes.
John Ratcliffe.
John Ratcliffe's going to give up.
Yeah, he's got the Book of
We're gonna-
Secrets.
He's got it.
Yeah, he's got the Book of
We're going to
Secrets.
find out who killed Kennedy.
Yeah.
We're going to find out about the aliens.
Aliens.
Yeah,
He's going to give us all the
absolutely.
answers.
Yeah.
So it'll be good. And
Yeah.
get some Trump stuff. Yeah. But so I'm with you. I don't think Oswald was 100% alone.
I don't either.
I think something else was going on. I think he was involved, but I think something else was
I
going
think
on.
the mob was involved.
Yeah.
If you think about Ruby, a man like that does not sacrifice the rest of his life in jail because he loves Kennedy so much.
Right,
he's gonna kill him.
right.
It just
Good
doesn't
point.
happen.
Yeah.
The other
Why-
conspiracy theory, if you want to know, just another one comes to mind would be, I don't think that I actually had the flu on the day of the I-30 Classic this year.
Oh, is that why?
I think
Is that what it
somebody slipped me some bad food.
Did you
at some
enjoy?
point.
Did you enjoy the shrimp that we brought you the night
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
It may have been a little bit undercooked.
Wait,
it may have
I
been
have to
slightly
ask you.
undercooked.
The I-30 Classic this year.
Yeah.
Big game for you.
Yeah.
Very similar to under the bleachers when you found out you made the A&M team, right?
Okay, first of all, it sounds seedy when you say under the bleachers. Like what the hell's going on?
Yeah, at first I was like,
when
wait,
you were
what?
under the bleachers.
So you have years under this man, right?
Oh,
Working for
yeah,
this man.
my entire career.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here it is, you against Heath, and it's. Tell me, what were you
Yeah.
thinking? What were you?
Yeah, I mean it's really weird more than anything, coaching against somebody that you've spent your whole career, in the preparation, the week leading up to it. It's just a weird deal, like playing somebody that you know so much about
And care
like
about.
yeah, and having spent this so many weeks and weekends doing that together and preparing for an opponent together, and then you're like, all right,
But you're gonna win. That's your.
And don't
mentality.
forget too, it ain't just Rodney. Cody Moore is over there.
yeah, I know.
These are all guys
Wait,
that
who's
you
Cody-
were with.
Cody Moore?
He's this offensive coordinator, but was the offensive coordinator here when Trey was receivers coach, correct?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So they all coached together. And so now Cody and Rodney are teaming up against you, giving you this number over across the sideline.
The
Yeah.
pressure.
But
Did you feel the pressure?
Yeah.
Like you wanted it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Gosh, it's just a weird, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so what happened?
You know
It's my first year at Heath. I've got the flu.
Wait, you just
and
said you didn't have
and
the flu.
you did it, and you didn't.
Okay, this leads us now. Oh, first of all, conspiracy. We don't want to get away from your.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
What?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You're gonna have to let me
Think about it?
this.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna go with Bigfoot, but no,
So
I
you
don't-
all in on Bigfoot?
Yeah, I don't.
I kind of am too.
What do you-
I kind of am too.
Are you really?
Yeah. You went up to British Columbia. We've all been up to British Columbia with Dwayne. Did
yeah.
Brad talk about Bigfoot up there?
No, well,
The guide?
If it exists, it's there.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Because Brad gave us a whole bunch of. He was a guide up there. We all go up there. Dwayne Kane's nice enough to take a lot of us up there, and it's off the radar. It's off the grid. It's all alone. You're in a major wilderness and all that. And as the guide, who's like 65 years old, but in better shape than all of us ever thought about being.
There's no question he could kill anyone or anything.
Anything.
At any given
At any
time.
moment,
Yeah.
with like a stick. He didn't even need anything. And he was our guide, and he would take us places. And when I was up there, he would pull off some fur from a tree, and he goes, "Yeah, that's Bigfoot. That's a Sasquatch deal." Then you're like, oh, you're just like freaking out.
Like as serious
Yeah.
as can be.
So from then on, I've been like, I'm in on the Bigfoot thing. I think there's something going on. But okay, I want to get back to the Heath thing because I think this is a great opportunity to have a question. We have some questions coming in from some people. So if you'll go to Braden Locke's question, if you will. Yeah. Braden has a question. It's about the Rockwall versus Heath game.
What's up, Coach? Hope everybody's doing well back home in Rockwall. You know, for a long time, you guys have been regarded as two of the best play callers in the state, and you know have really good reputations for running high-powered offenses. You know, so much respect for the two of you guys, and I just wanted to ask. Billy told me I could ask anything, and you know, I just wanted to ask who called the flea flicker against Heath in 2017. You know, we know how that game ended up going. And then I also want to ask, from my own personal experience, who scripted the first play against Highland Park in 2019. Really interested to know the answers to those two questions. Can't wait to find out.
Sound like loaded questions there.
Let me set up as the broadcaster, the play setter.
Is that what you are?
Yeah, I think so. Rockwall is leading Heath. This is in 2017, I believe, by 13. You're up 13 points. I think there's like 6 minutes left in the game. Correct me if I'm wrong. Around 6 or 7 minutes
No,
left.
I think it was early fourth quarter.
Okay, so a little bit more.
I think maybe 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
left.
Yeah.
But a 13-point lead in Heath territory. Not, you know, necessarily field goal range, but like at the 40, if I remember right, like the plus 40. Take it from there, the play call that you chose to go with, or whoever. We don't know who calls that crucial flea flicker play.
Let me just say, first of all, one of the greatest wins in Heath history.
I was going to say.
I'm very proud to say. Okay? Great win. Glorious win. I pull that film up now since I've been at Heath. I watch it all. The
I
last
bet.
play,
I'm
Tanner
sure.
McAllister scoring.
Oh, so good.
She was good.
Oh, my gosh.
No comment. I don't know. Trey, how do you remember that?
He tries not to.
Nobody is taking credit for
Nobody
anything.
is
If they'd have scored, both of them be fighting over who called it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know, as I recall, I think Rusty Brackett called that play.
You know,
I'm pretty sure it was Rusty Brackett.
The line coach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's weird.
he was
Yeah.
always trying to get us to throw flea flickers.
Okay, so the offensive line coach just jumped in at a crucial moment and said, "We got to go this
So
direction."
that's the answer.
Okay, good. That's good. But what happened was a flea flicker was called. If I remember right, it was a pick through an interception, right? Didn't Jacob end up throwing an interception? And that started the ball rolling where Heath would win by 1, rally from 13 down with on the last play, which I'm sure now, Rodney, there was a controversial ending because Heath was out of timeouts. I distinctly remember this. You're up in the booth. Our booth was right next to you. And Heath runs a play, and it's inbound, so the clock is going to run out. There's like 10 seconds left, and there's no way they're going to be able to get back. But they had a player injured, so that stopped the clock. And there's always been controversy. Was he really injured or not? Did they do it to stop the clock and all that? I'm sure Rodney's attitude towards it has changed a lot in those years. But, yeah, it was a very exciting game, and he scores last play of the game. McAllister ends up scoring on a if I remember right, was it a Wildcat? Did he just keep it and take it himself?
Option. No, speed option. Okay. They pitched it to him.
They pitched it to him, okay.
Yep. And he ran over one of the Rockwall kids. I thought there was 10 I did not know at that point in time that there was not a 10-second runoff rule in high school. I did not know that.
Well, and I think that's what I remember. Me and Trey, I think you thought the same thing. We thought it was a 10-second runoff.
The game should have been over because there was 9 seconds left.
Right.
And the kid dropped with kind of a phantom injury.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually was serving on the state rules committee. And so during the off season at our rules meeting, I convinced them to drop that exception. And so there is now 10-second runoff in high school football. Of course, it wasn't retroactive, so it didn't help that particular situation.
In 2019, I think what Braden's talking about is I remember his first play as a quarterback against Highland Park. Do y'all remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
So talk about that.
Well, I wish Braden were here so I could tell him to his face. I mean, we thought we had something we didn't. We thought he'd be able to, make a play on the first play of the game, throw the ball on the first play of the game. I mean, gosh.
You're the best player in Texas.
Right.
Just an NFL wide receiver that's running a bender. Just throw it to him, and we're going to get some yardage.
Get it near him.
Yeah, anywhere but other than 10 feet above his head.
It was the highest pass I've ever seen in my life. It was his first play. We're all excited. Here's Redlock's first snap, and he air mails one.
Yeah.
I think it went through the goalpost from our own, 30. It was
such a bad pass that Jackson Smith didn't even know he was throwing it to him.
He thought surely there was a guy running a post behind him. Yeah,
because the ball's in the air and he's looking behind him like, who's he throwing it to?
But Jackson same year.
No. 2 years different. Braden was a sophomore. Jackson was a senior.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew Braden was an ultra-talented kid that was going to have a great career, but you don't ever know until the Friday night lights come on. You don't ever really know how a kid's going to perform, when.
Like that night.
Like that night. However,
on that pass.
He ended up having a great game.
He did,
Yeah, a school record 564 yards in his very first high school game ever. But we still talk about that first pass all the time.
But as jerks, we're going to bring up the one play that was bad.
Exactly.
Kind of like y'all bring up the flea flicker. Very.
He brought it up.
That's right. Now, what is he doing now? Where is he?
He is at Wisconsin. Yeah, playing quarterback at Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Had a couple good games up there. He had to step in for the starter.
Junior, sophomore?
Redshirt freshman.
Redshirt freshman. So his second year of college.
Pretty fun watching him. You go on TV and watch him play up there. It's really fun. Yeah, he's doing great.
It's really cool to watch, Braden, but any of those kids that you coach that have an opportunity to go play at the next level. I do my best to keep up with all of them. I don't get to watch everybody in person, but it's just awesome to see the number of kids. I'm just going to say in Rockwall County, now that I've been on both sides of town, the number of kids that are playing at the next level and having success, it's awesome. Really cool.
They're just getting better and better through the years.
Yeah,
just absolutely. a lot of talented kids. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and real quick, I want to give some numbers here that are very impressive. We'll start with Rodney. We've joked around about all the places you've coached it, but you've been at Ruidoso, Elgin, Royce City, Horn, Rockwall, Geyer. Then you were at the AD at Highland Park for a little bit. Now you're at Heath. Your overall record, by my calculations, is 175 and 85. Does that sound about right?
You'd have to ask Fran.
Okay.
She keeps up with it.
All right. Very impressive. That's very impressive. I mean, you go and have a really good season this year, you can have 100, game difference there as far as wins. That's impressive. 60 and 29 at Rockwall. And remember, Rodney took over a team that was, I think the last year was 3-7. Wasn't that the previous year was 3-7?
So.
Okay, yeah. And they went to the playoffs that first year that Rodney got here in 2013, and went to the semifinals in 2019. Last year, as the head coach at Heath, you went 9-3. Went 5-1 in district. That one loss. We know, we talked about it. He had the flu.
The flu game.
Yeah, flu game.
Flu game.
but made the playoffs, got second in district, defeated Saxe 56-42, and then hit the juggernaut that Rockwall's been dealing with for the last few years. Either you're going to play Duncanville or DeSoto second round, and Rodney got the joy of playing Duncanville and ended up losing that one, and season ended in the area round. Go to Trey. Trey is in his fourth season as the head coach at Rockwall, 11 years at Rockwall.
Yep.
I think 5 years you were the offensive coordinator, then took over as head coach. This is during the COVID year, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit because you took over Rockwall in the COVID year, and you went to Geyer during the COVID year. You took over a brand new program and couldn't even meet with people in person.
Right.
And so
it was 2 weeks to slow the spread, though.
Yeah.
That's what we thought.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
2 weeks.
And we'll be right back at it. Yeah.
I remember when it first came out, I'm doing baseball, and we get the notice that they're going to extend spring break for a week. And I remember telling the audience, all right, well, we'll be back in a couple weeks, and we'll be back with district play, and we'll catch up, and not knowing that we weren't going to see the field the rest of the year. So anyway, Trey, overall record since he's been head coach, 40-9. All right. You've only lost one game in district. And that game, we always talk about it, is the one game that Trey has lost in district play was to Heath. This is in 2020, was it? Or
21.
21.
Yeah.
You scored 71 points and still lost 79-71. That's his only loss in district play. It's the craziest game ever. Caden, if you could show, this is how Rockwall sends it to overtime. Yeah. Talk about that moment when that, because what that did was that sent it into overtime. Rockwall was down. I'm forgetting the score then because.
I'm terrible at remembering.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, Rockwall's down a touchdown. Okay. Throw the Hail Marys, last play of the game, and it's caught. That was Johnson that makes the catch, right?
That was Meeks. Aiden
Meeks. I'm sorry, Aiden Meeks. Yeah, Meeks that caught it.
Yeah.
And crazy tip pass for the Hail Mary to talk about that moment.
Oh, it was crazy. Well, I think when we got the ball back, I think there was 17 seconds left or something like that.
Right.
So we actually completed a pass or two just to get to the point in which we could throw the Hail Mary. So that was a big deal, just working the sideline a couple of times. And then Braden obviously buying enough time to get the ball down there. And, it was
a crazy game.
About as JFND as it gets right there. But, it was nuts.
Last year, Trey went 11-2 as the head coach. Best season he's had so far. 6-0 in district. Was district champs. Beat Wiley in the by-district round 50-10. Beat Waxahachie. Got a little revenge. Lost to him last year. Beat Waxahachie in a great game, 46-43. And then lost in the regional quarters to Westfield to end the season there. But what I'm getting to is these are two of the best coaches you can find, and that we got two of them here in Rockwall is amazing. What we have in store coming up with the future games as far as Heath, Rockwall, and all that kind of stuff. But the success that, is going to, I don't think I'm jinxing anything when I say that the success is going to keep coming, and it's just amazing to watch both these teams. I want to go now to Rodney. This is a little bit, I'm going to dance around a few things here, but Rodney takes over a program that hit a bit of a speed bump at Heath and had to make some changes. Talk about taking over the Heath program last year when, unfortunately Coach Harrell has to go, and they had a bit of a controversy that occurs there. And you got to take over a program that didn't even have an off season really because of all the incidents that happened.
Yeah, it was.
Did you get a phone call?
There were. I'll say this: there were some off the record conversations early on. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. And I wasn't looking necessarily to get back into coaching. In fact, I flat out wasn't looking to get back into coaching. I enjoyed doing the AD gig at Highland Park, and never really considered getting back in. We're committed to living in Rockwall. I wasn't going to go back and take a coaching job and drive 30 minutes. Wasn't going back to Garland. Wasn't going to Forney. Wasn't going to Wiley. Wasn't going back to Royce City. And so I was content to ride it out there, in a really good AD job. And then that opportunity came around, and I thought, wow, what an interesting possibility. And so for me, it was it had a lot to do with starting there, that was a community that was hurting. It was, the kids were hurting, the parents, were hurting, and there was some conflict down there. There were, people had kind of taken up sides, and I chose to, when I jumped into that deal, I chose, like, we're not addressing it. I'm not picking sides. We're just going to pick up the pieces and go. So from the minute I started there, we didn't spend 1 minute looking backwards. We didn't spend 1 minute worried about any perception of anything. We just said we got to get to work. We got ground to make. We got to get to work. And to everybody's credit down there, everybody bought in. And from the day that I started there, it was nothing but looking forward and trying to put all the pieces back together and pull it out of the ditch. And I'm saying that to say, I'm not placing blame at the feet of anybody. But what happened, and that's what it was. And the kids needed somebody, to come in and give them a little bit of stability.
Well, if there's somebody that can come in and get a program on the right track, you're the guy. And so this is a great hire. As much as we give them a hard time about it and, and things like that, it's a good thing for Rockwall area and stuff like that. Okay, do we have any more? We have some more questions.
We got a few questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a few more.
Which worries me.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Just relax.
First one, man.
Oh, here we go.
This is where it ends. This is where I throw
My question for you is, what is your favorite 80s music video and why?
There it is. Tell who that is.
That's my daughter. That's the young Dr. Webb.
Dr. Webb.
Yeah.
The smart one of the family, would you say?
No, there's no question. No question. It's not even close.
Okay.
Not even close. My favorite 80s music video. So, quick background. I'm a big 80s alternative music aficionado, and I like videos. I just like having, I'm not a big TV watcher, so I'm more likely than anything on my TV at any given point in time to have YouTube pulled up and have some kind of an 80s alternative video playlist running at any point.
Let me say something. I don't know how many times I've come over there. For those that don't know, Rodney and Fran live across the street from us. We're neighbors. We hang out a lot. We go back and forth. I don't know how many times I've walked into their house and they got YouTube videos on. I've seen Tool and Depeche Mode videos way more than I should. And just by walking in the house, I see them. I can't imagine how many times you've seen them.
Well, you traveled to Ireland for the purpose of watching, was it Depeche Mode?
Yeah. So the funny story about that is that we wanted to go see Depeche Mode. They were doing a world tour, and they came to San Antonio. Okay. And we were going to go to San Antonio, but the tickets were $400 for good tickets. We were like, we are not paying $400 for a good seat to go see Depeche Mode. So we started looking, where else are they?
We're going to Ireland.
Yeah, you put your foot down.
But let me say, we only paid $100 in Dublin, Ireland to see him.
And the flight cost?
Standing room only. Yeah, the flight cost. And we ended up staying for like 12 days. And, so.
About $10,000 to watch Depeche Mode.
And then they watched Thompson Twins, and who else would be there? I always pull up these 80s Dixie's Midnight Riders or whatever. Did you see them?
Yeah, it's you're butchering this bad right
now. So she asked your favorite video.
So my favorite 80s video, if you pin me down, I would say give me The Smiths, How Soon Is Now.
Okay, I have no idea.
Okay.
Do you know? Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, you didn't even know about Metamucil before this. So, all right. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, we do. Let me pull it up.
Oh boy!
Man.
Oh boy!
Yeah.
Your biggest.
This is just not going well.
Okay, can you explain 2 football terms to Jay?
What?
Let's start with one of the popular terms in football now. It's the RPO.
I know what that is.
Which is?
It is revolutions.
Octave. Revolutions per octave, which of course that's the right answer.
It's very close. It's very close. Yeah. It's run pass option. Yeah.
That's that RPO.
So that would be a football term, and it's a run pass option. So you call a running play. So everybody's blocking the running play, but the receivers are running routes. The quarterback has the option to hand it off or to pull it and throw it. That is a run-pass option, and it has revolutionized football.
I'll jump into. Oh yeah, do another one real quick. And I'm going to jump in. I'm sorry.
Oh, so another one. Let's go a different direction. No, let's say the other one is going to be kick-catch interference.
Oh yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, the good old kick-catch interference.
On any scrimmage kick or free kick, you have the opportunity to catch the ball without being impeded by the coverage team. So you have to have an opportunity. Like, you can't get blown up right as the ball gets to you.
You can't just run down there and hit the guy before he can catch the ball.
So
you're going to be a football aficionado before this is all done.
My sport is pickleball.
Okay.
Do you ever play?
I do.
I have played. Okay. Yeah.
I've not.
I'm in the Olympic development program, actually. You know.
Wow. Let me say something about Rodney, though. One of my favorite things is anytime he gets to talk plays, it's always the same thing. He'll do the fist thing, and he'll be like, one of my favorite things I used to do when he was, committed to the Yellow Jackets was we would go over and he would show film up on the TV and we'd watch it. And he'd be like, when you get the two receivers, you got on the line, you got him back here. And he always did his fist. He's like, he's going to come here. And
you got to show where the players are.
Right, you got to show where they're going.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget one time they were moving in, or they're moving something into their living room or whatever. And he goes, I don't know. I think we could put the couch here, but if we brought the entertainment center over here, we could bring that. And it was exactly like calling a football play. Yeah, it was exactly.
Very similar.
It is. It was very similar. And I'm like, this is his whole life is just pounding fist and showing, I would like my mashed potatoes here, and then I want my steak over here, and then bring it around. So.
All right.
We got another one?
Well, thanks for educating me.
Yeah,
absolutely. I knew those.
I know more, too, so 3 or 4 more at least. Yeah.
3 or 4.
This next clip I'm going to show, I think I can speak for the 3 of us. This is probably the best one.
Yes, it is. This is one of the best ones.
The mayor.
Oh, well, hello, Coach Webb. I didn't see you there. I was just doing a little bit of light reading of this leather-bound book. Coach, I know what you're thinking. I've had 2 kids that went to Rockwall High School. We got 3 more that will end up there. And I live on the north side. So you're probably thinking, like the rest of the folks who might be a little bit salty at you for taking the Rockwall Heath job. But that's not me. As a matter of fact, I've got a slightly different question. Coach Webb, what do you know about this video about Coach Rodney Webb, mayor of the city of Rockwall? That's real interesting. Last I checked, there's 1 mayor for the city of Rockwall. Now, I'm not an unreasonable man. So if you would like to Indian leg wrestle for honorary title of Rockwall mayor, I'm not opposed to that at a time and place of your choosing, with or without beverages of your choosing. Let me know. But my bigger question is, do you know about this mayor of Rockwall video?
Wow.
That is
not
awesome.
expecting that.
That is awesome.
How great was that presentation?
That was big time.
That was big time.
Let me say, first
Leather-bound
of all,
book.
you don't want to leg wrestle me because it's like a mouse trap. my muscles have gotten so
Very little
tight.
flexibility.
Very little flexibility. It could break somebody's leg. Oh yeah.
Now, arm wrestling you would be a different thing because of your shortness of the arm. Yeah.
I feel like that. Does that help in arm
I
wrestling?
can't
Actually,
imagine.
it helps,
I don't think it helps at all.
Good.
Is it
Yeah,
with
yeah,
arm
it
wrestling?
helps, yeah.
All right, closer to the ground. Yeah,
around
to the
against.
table. Okay.
So
How are you mayor?
well, let me just say, Rick Renner, the noted Fox Sports Southwest TV analyst, he has called me that for a long time. I have no idea why he started calling me that, but that just sort of stuck with him. But to be honest,
Does he know
remember-
you've relocated? I mean, you can't be the mayor of
Yeah.
Rockwall and be coaching Heath. That's a whole other.
And we did a podcast back in the summer, I think it was. But I honestly don't even recall him saying that or seeing that on the.
That's so funny.
But another conspiracy theory, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Could throw into that. Yeah.
Well, after your career, there's a political.
That's what I'm saying. If
Right.
I end up running for mayor, then everybody's going to say this has been in the works.
Right.
And let me
Yeah.
prove it.
Right. Good point.
Summer of 23.
Right.
He already knew.
Right. Good point.
So,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And then we have one for Coach Brooks, right?
Yes, we do have one for Coach Brooks.
Oh boy.
Do you have any game day apparel superstitions? Please describe. Also, what's on your pregame playlist?
Oh, those are good, both good questions.
Oh, all right.
I feel like she should know about the apparel, but go ahead.
Yes, yes.
And if it's a thong and a half shirt, we're all going to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, my biggest game day apparel. So I have a pair of socks.
That have not been washed since 80.
Well, yeah, they've been washed, but so it's a pair of socks that Wyatt Miller actually gave me. Wyatt Miller played receiver for us, 2014. He was big into the sock game and always had all kinds of the different socks that he was wearing. We'd always give him a hard time about it. So that was his gift to me after he was done playing. He gave me a pair of socks, so I wore them for one game and then just kept wearing them. So yeah, I've been wearing the same socks since 2014.
That is interesting.
Yeah,
that is interesting
for every game.
That is cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's really a superstition. I mean, I guess it is, but we've lost games in them, so I just something I don't know. It's something I do.
Well, maybe if the ones you lost, make sure you are they right and left socks?
Yeah,
or they
I think
maybe
that
switch them
probably
up?
was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the conspiracy thing.
Yeah.
And playlist. Do you have a playlist? Do you listen to music and stuff beforehand?
Oh, gosh, yeah, sometimes.
Donna Summer. I'm picking Donna Summer.
It's for sure not whatever he
yeah,
said earlier.
Some of these videos he watches too, I mean, they're horrible. I mean, Tool, is it Tool that has the puppets that are killing each other?
Lots of strange things.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. Boy George?
No.
That whole thing? No.
Not a terrible band, though. Not a terrible band, but not into Culture Club, the band. They got some good stuff.
Okay. Wham, you big Wham guy?
Yeah, they're okay.
Toto?
Yeah.
All right.
That was
yeah,
good.
they're okay.
Yeah, okay. So, are any of these on your list?
No.
I see you as a gangster rapper.
I have been known to listen to a little hip hop pregame.
Really?
Yeah.
I know none of that.
Yeah.
Get you going.
So, who is your hip hop guy? Who do you go to?
Yeah, mine would be
Sugar Hill Gang.
Just dating yourself,
I know. It's the only one I know.
Yeah, mine would be Lil Wayne.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. That was like when I was playing in college, that's what was being played, and so that's kind of like my go-to hype.
That's
great.
So that is the. I mean, she was talking like there is a.
Well, yeah, it's.
playlist.
I mean, yeah. If I have the.
Yeah.
If I have the opportunity to listen to a song to get myself hyped pregame, that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What sport do you not understand why other people follow? What is the one sport you're like, why do people even?
I feel like we're going to offend somebody.
That's
here.
okay. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
That's right.
Jump in.
For me, it's auto racing.
Okay.
I don't understand. Well, I mean,
I'm with you.
It's not really a sport either.
Right.
I don't think. But yeah, I don't get.
Athletes.
I don't get it. Nor do I get fishing, like watching fishing.
Yeah. That's it.
Right. The auto racing, though, is hard for me. I have a problem with any sport that I have to root for just a guy. I need teams to root for. I don't want to just root for a guy. Yeah, like golf is hard for me, and tennis. Although I will say I kind of got into tennis back in the 80s with the Yvonne Lindell and McEnroe and Connors. That was kind of cool.
But you know what? What I like about the single guy sports, it's all on you.
Yeah, that's right.
No question.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You can win it or lose
Yeah.
it all on you.
Yeah, that's true. And there are times you get excited about a certain boxing match, back in the day with Tyson and stuff like that. But most of the time, but I don't get. But the auto racing is hard for me. I tried during the COVID thing. That was the only sport that was on. Remember, they let them do auto racing, but you couldn't play a lot of have other sports going on for a little bit. So I thought, all right, this is my moment, and I tried, man, and I just could not.
I think that's something you got to be there for. Have you ever been in NASCAR?
No.
It is an
Yeah.
event.
Yeah.
An event. And
So-
you got to see the whole thing.
That's a tough one. Trey, what's yours?
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking mine's probably, oh gosh, maybe MMA.
Yeah. I could see that too.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I just every time it's on, it's not the same person. Like I don't know. I you know what I'm saying? Like right, but like I can turn on a football game and it'll be a team.
Somebody you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time. Like I don't know who the good MMA
the
fighters
sports with judges are hard for me because I need a sport that when you do this, you get this many points. And here's a clock.
It's black
and white. Black and white. My daughter did gymnastics for a number of years, and we go to these meets, and every one of them girls would do these amazing things, but one got a 7.0 and one got a 9.5. And I didn't understand what these people were seeing that was so. And my daughter would be like, well, I didn't point my toe, or I did point my toe. That's hard for me. Like when CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown, he gets 6 points. He doesn't get like 8 because he did a cool dive or something. It's 6 points, period. Yeah. And so those are the judge things are hard.
Well, when you think of sports, it's the great equalizer.
Yeah.
No matter what color you are, where you came from.
Right.
That's the great equalizer. But when you have a set of judges telling you you're a winner, you're not a winner, it kind of takes that away.
Yeah.
All right. You grew up in Georgetown.
Yep.
Missouri, but most of your high school years were North Garland area.
Garland, right.
High school jobs. What jobs did y'all have?
My first job was at Safeway.
Okay.
I was a courtesy clerk.
Which is what?
Bagger.
Okay. All right. But just say bagger.
Yeah.
Don't try to impress
courtesy
us.
Clerk.
Okay.
So.
Courtesy clerk has nothing to do with bagging.
I've never heard that term before.
Is that what's your title? Courtesy clerk?
Oh, yeah.
What does that person do?
Just bag groceries.
So the bread at
the bagger.
Put the bread at the bottom. Start throwing in all the heavy objects. Yeah.
Courtesy clerk.
Yeah. Courtesy clerk.
I was about to get promoted to checker, and I couldn't handle it, and I quit because I was not ready for that kind of responsibility.
No.
That's a lot.
The scanning and
I
all
was
that.
at TG&Y. Remember TG&Y? I worked at TG&Y, and I was the stock boy. We didn't have a fancy name. We were stock boys. Okay. But you worked in the back, and it was just a horrible job. It was just absolutely. It was Lampasas, where I grew up, in the hill country. Here we go. Here we
just
go.
Outside the
Here we go. Here we go. I knew I'd get him triggered. But you had to wear a tie. You know, you still had to wear a white shirt and a tie. And back in the 80s, Trey won't remember this, but Rodney, you'll remember, the knit tie was the trendy tie. Yeah. And it was like the flat bottom, but you had the knit tie. Cut off straight at the bottom, but they were the knit ties. And I had to wear those. But you would carry so many boxes and so many things, it would stretch it. And by the time you're done, your tie's down at your feet because it would just stretch that thing all the way down. And you're just a mule. That's all you are. It's just, layaway was the worst thing in the world, and you had to go find the layaway package and bring it up because somebody.
What has happened to layaway?
I don't think it's around anymore, is it? Is layaway around anymore?
I don't think so.
Yeah, why'd they do away with that?
I don't know. That was a good deal.
Pretty good deal.
We would just take it and you throw it in a brown bag and you threw it up in the thing. And when they paid it up, they'd give you a number and you'd go find it and bring it down. Yeah. And then you had the trucks. When you unload the trucks, you had those trays or those rollers, those little steel rollers. Did y'all have to unload stuff from the trucks at Safeway? Or you were a courtesy clerk?
No. You had the stock boys.
Right, that was
here.
me. I was blue collar.
Courtesy clerk was way up higher. Yeah.
You do fit in at Heath. I now realize. But all right, Trey, what was your high school jobs?
All right, my first ever job was at a place called Bray's A to Z Rental Company. So it was a rental company.
Like TVs and stuff?
No, like machinery. Like you could exactly. You could rent.
So what did you do?
Gosh. It was terrible. So the reason it was so bad is like the guy that owned the place, like he never wanted to see you not doing something.
Right.
Well, there was not always something to do. So I mean, we would finish everything. There'd be nothing to do, and he'd walk through, and I mean, he would jump you if you weren't doing something. So we'd jump up and grab a broom and just start sweeping. I've swept the floor like 100 times a day. Yeah.
You know who didn't have to do that? Courtesy clerks. They didn't have to worry about it.
Right.
They didn't have to worry about it. No.
Yeah. So that was terrible.
Oh, that's great.
That one didn't last very long.
Any other jobs that you're like that you did in high school or anything else? I delivered furniture. I gave cave tours. Everybody has these crazy.
I had some weird job my friend connected me with where this was like a whole summer. We worked at a plant that manufactured the face of payphones. So it was these gigantic drills. That
First of all, that you work at a place that makes payphones.
Right.
Wonder if they're still in business.
Yeah, an item that doesn't exist anymore.
Take
Yeah.
these metal plates. There's no way OSHA would have let this go these days because there's no training, no safety mechanisms.
Fingers
at
are being
all.
lopped off.
Yeah,
left
it's
and
a
right.
miracle, and especially me, it's a miracle I didn't lose a finger. These drills, and you had to like put it on these different settings, and you would take these metal plates and it would carve it all out. It is truly a miracle that I did not get injured. I did that for an entire
Well, let's
summer.
go back to our youth. I want to go back there where how we grew up, and I think Trey was still in this. I know Trey's younger than us. How old are you, Trey?
How old am I? 41.
Okay, you're a little bit younger. You're the youngest of the group here.
Yeah.
But back in the day when your parents just basically said, get out of the house, go do what you do. Because the thing I distinctly remember was my mom, for some reason, I couldn't get a skateboard. Skateboards were dangerous. You're going to hurt yourself. Now, I lived out in the country, so I don't know how I'd do a skateboard anyway. But, yeah, what I was going to do. But everybody was getting skateboards, so I was going to. But I do remember her being fine that she got me a wood-burning set that has, if you remember the wood-burning thing, it was the hot rod that has the sharp point that you could just really destroy a lot of things with that deal. But that was fine. But a skateboard is off the charts. I mean, we're not nuts. You're not getting on a skateboard. And I just remember, do y'all have that same kind of experience where the parents just were like, good luck to you, get out there, but had these weird rules?
Yeah, so I'll say I had parents that had total trust in me from as far back as I can remember. I never really had a curfew. I never had boundaries as far as where I could go and where I couldn't go.
Oh, wow.
I mean, maybe when I was like kindergarten, but by the time I was middle to late elementary and on up, yeah. And I never wanted to disappoint him, so I was never out doing something I really shouldn't have been doing. But they always had a lot of trust in me. So yeah, I never.
Now you were way younger than all your brothers and sisters too, so your parents had pretty much given up on parenting by the time you.
They were done. Right. Absolutely. To be fair, yes,
right.
I was the fifth of five. And significantly younger than three of those five.
Right.
And so, yeah, they were done. They were pretty much go play in the street. We don't care. Just leave us alone.
Right.
Your oldest sister?
So my oldest sister was 19 when I was born. And I have a brother that's 18 years older and a sister that's 16 years older. And then a brother that's 4 years older. So I was
almost like kind of like an only child kind of thing.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah.
So Trey, how was your scene? Did you have brothers and sisters? And
yeah, I have two stepbrothers, a stepsister, and a half sister. So a little bit like the
growing
Brady
up though.
bunch.
What was the?
Yeah, so I was the only child until I was in, I guess, 7th grade. Until
that had to be an adjustment.
My parents remarried. Yeah, it was definitely different. Yeah, it was.
Did your brothers play ball?
Yes, yep, they both did. But there's a pretty big age difference there too. Yeah, but yeah, both of them.
Were you youngest?
Football too. No, I'm older than
all of them.
I'm older than all of them.
So rules, a lot of rules for you growing up, like curfews, things like that.
Yeah, not curfew wise, but like as a kid, you're talking about as a kid going out and playing, like being an only child, like. I mean, just sending your only child kid out there and to just go. That didn't happen for me as much.
Okay.
But, yeah. But as I got older, it's a similar deal. Must have both been good kids. But
There you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, I remember though growing up in a small town where everybody was your parent though. Like there was no worry if you went and did something stupid and your parents weren't around. Well, there was somebody else that's going to come in and say, "Hey, idiot, stop!" They would spank you. They would get you. You know, they would tell your parents, and you would think you would get away with stuff, and you'd come home, and they're like, "What were you doing at the airport late at night doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I was studying." No, you weren't. I called some. And so you couldn't get away with stuff. And I tell my kids all the time, y'all have no idea. Like you think that, there's always been a way for parents to find out, even back in our day before the phones and all that kind of stuff and tracking them. But that's interesting, though. Did you have a curfew growing up and all that? Like you have how many brothers and sisters?
I've got 3 brothers and 1 sister.
Okay.
There's 5 of us.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we grew up in Rowlett.
Mm-hmm. So okay.
Ran wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
Yeah. But you went to Garland High School.
Garland High School.
Okay. All right. So Georgetown Eagle?
Yep.
All right. North
Very
Garland. Raider.
Mm-hmm.
Garland Owl. Yeah, Lamb passes Badger. Yeah, there we go. Hill Country Badgers.
Hill Country.
Yeah,
got
Hill
one
Country
more?
Badgers.
I do have one more question.
All right.
So we'll play this.
Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go.
What's going on, Coach Webb, Coach Brooks? This question is for Coach Webb. We know you coached a lot of great players, in your career. But out of all the teams you've coached, which team do you think could beat the rest of the teams you've coached? That's what I want to know. I truly want to know.
That's a good question. First of all, is he at a club?
I think-
Is he at a club somewhere? What's that music is thumping, man.
That's your, so that's Ja'Cory Shepherd.
Yes.
You
Yep.
coached with.
Yep.
Yeah. Trey and I both coached Ja'Cory at Mesquite Horn,
Okay.
Yep.
and he was a part of a very elite group of kids that were all there at the same time. I will say this: so Ja'Cory's senior year, we lost in the state quarterfinals, and as far as talent on one team, Ja'Cory played in the NFL. Jakeem Grant, another receiver on that team, is still in the NFL. Our quarterback was an all-conference player of the year, a conference player of the year at Tarleton State. We had a defensive end, outside linebacker that was one of the all-time greats to play at SMU.
Devontae Harris played in the NFL. Played corner at the time.
Linebacker that played at Baylor. So there were a lot of good players on that team, and we lost in the state quarterfinals. So that probably should have been the best team that we've ever coached.
And there's no doubt when he asked that question, he's searching for a certain answer.
Sure,
Like,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah, that's what he's looking for right there.
The way I met Ja'Cory was he trained me, and he actually told me I was one of the most promising athletes.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, he's good at building up that clientele.
Right.
Repeat
Right.
customers.
Yeah, you're paying him, so I mean, he's going to tell you what he needs to tell you.
I guess.
It's like all those kids that are in the select leagues. The parents don't understand when they make the high school on the high school team they're not playing. Well, the coach told me, well, you're paying him tons of money. He's going to tell you everything.
The thing I remember, the ladder. You pull out the ladder, and you do the. So I would be like, and then he would do it, and it was like a cartoon. His legs were moving, so it was like you couldn't even see it. It was crazy, and that's when I realized that's what a professional athlete is.
Right. No.
So when you go to Hanby, when we go to the games at Hanby and Mesquite, they do have a number of jerseys framed up there in the press box.
Yeah.
And they got Grant. I think Corey's in there up there.
Yeah,
I think
they do.
Yeah, and so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Went to Kansas.
He did. He played at Kansas.
So yeah, that's really cool. That's got to be really fulfilling though when you see guys have that success that you've all coached.
But it's not just the success on the field; it's the success in life. And so for Ja'Cory, I mean, he's just been such an awesome example of a human being as a football player, and after football, he's a great husband, he's a great father, he's a great mentor to a lot of the kids in our community that he works with. That's the coolest part, honestly.
And you're
about a kid like
taking
Ja'Cory.
credit for all that? That's what you're
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. If it weren't for me.
Do you? When y'all get a kid, do you know when there's something special?
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Yep.
You're
For
gonna be
sure.
wrong. And somebody you didn't think was that great was great.
I think there are players that sort of outkick their coverage, so to speak. They rise above what you thought they were capable. But the elite players, the really elite players, you kind of know from an early age. Yeah.
And you probably don't last very long in this profession if you're not able to recognize, those type of guys, and then get the most out of them. And so,
So there's
you
a
can definitely,
responsibility that goes along with that.
Yeah, you can tell when there's something special, and then you gotta, as a coach, take advantage of that as much as you can, to be successful.
All right, I want to jump back into football. Not that when we are already in football, but as far as coming up season, redistricting is on the horizon here in February. In fact, a couple weeks.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? Where do you think we may go? Do you think we'll stay status quo in our district? What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, the longer people have to think about it, the more different opinions there are out there, and it's obviously we have no base to really know anything. But I could see it staying the same. Obviously, we've talked about it before. Longview and Forney High School are moving up to 6A, so they will be involved in some way, whether they're in our district or they end up, kicking us into another district. So, some combination of what we have with those two schools, either us with those or we're getting booted, over to Plano, McKinney.
The latest I'm hearing, Plano is the Plano district, and then what do you think, Rodney?
Well, I mean, I think there are probably realistically three different options for us. We would either stay in the Mesquite, Forney, East Texas district. We would go with the Garland schools, or we could go north and west with Wiley and either over to Plano or to McKinney. I think those are realistically.
Do you have a preference?
Well, so I'll say this. I really would not want to be districted with the Garland schools, only for this. Participation numbers. Both of our campuses are booming with participation numbers. That's not happening really at any Garland school. So, it puts us in a situation, not just in football, but in other sports, where you're looking for sub-varsity games. We're going to have 3 freshman teams next year. There will be Garland schools after grades come out that don't have a freshman team at all.
Gotcha.
So it becomes kind of a nightmare trying to find games.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, I would not want to see us go there. But to be honest, I just want to see us paired with some schools where you're going to have exciting games. You live for the big game. You live for games that have a lot of fans, and so Thursday night games at Williams Stadium in front of 300 people.
I agree.
Don't really move the needle. So
and there is a detriment. I mean, some people think it's great if you get into a district that you can dominate. And to be perfectly frank, if Rockwall and Heath get into the Garland district, I think they would run that district. The competitive level, sorry about your Garland Owls, but would not be what it is in others. That can be a detriment at once playoffs roll around, can it?
No question.
Yeah,
no question.
And so then what about the East Texas thing? As far as my end of it, there is a beat down when you have to go to – I can't imagine with y'all when you have the games on Tuesdays and the sub-varsity games on the Thursdays, and you're driving out to East Texas possibly twice now with Longview back up there and Tyler already there.
And those games, when do you get home? After midnight?
Pretty
late.
So you're playing a varsity game in Longview at 7 or 7:30. That game's going to be over at 10. Somewhere around 10 o'clock, you got to give the kids a Whataburger or whatever. You're changing, showering, packing travel bags. You're not getting back till 1 a.m. But, I mean, think about Longview. That's every week for them.
It is every week for them. And then you go into the other sports, the Tuesday night games for baseball and basketball and volleyball and all that, and those people are coming home at midnight and later on a school night.
Yeah, I think it's the toughest in the other sports as far as travel.
Right. At least it's a Friday night most of the time for football. But, okay, I was just interested because the East Texas thing, I think, is something that I don't think anybody would be upset if they didn't have to deal with anymore.
Yeah.
So, for you guys, your own teams next year, what are your challenges, strengths? What are you thinking about next year?
Go ahead, Trey.
Just keep doing what you're doing. That's
wouldn't
all
you
I'm
like
saying.
to know?
Give us all the stuff. What's going to happen?
It's a group that we're really excited about. We lost some good players, but just feel like we have good key players coming back and just in key spots. And so, just what we've seen so far, and we're in our 3rd week of off season right now, but it's a really hard-working group, similar to the group that we had last year. And so, excited about those guys, and think we have a good chance to be good again because of those guys. But I think now is the fun. Now's the fun time, and as a football coach, is like you're kind of putting the puzzle together. You're evaluating an off season and just trying to figure out who has the chance to be in the mix. And like this is my favorite time of the year, just to evaluate kids and like to see who's going to take the next step. And it's just fun to see how it's going to all play out. And then you go to spring football and you get to, again, you're just putting the puzzle together and see how the team fits together. And so I like this time of year just because I like to see guys step up and who are the guys that are the next wave of guys that are going to be, impact guys and leaders on the team. So, yeah, it's fun.
I think it's always fun to watch a previous team, and you sit there and you go, man, that was whatever it is. That was a great linebacking core. I don't think we're going to have a linebacking core. And then you come next year and like, holy cow, didn't know about this guy. This guy and he played a little bit last year. I didn't know he was this good, and that's always fun to see those guys step up.
Kids grow up, and they, it's fun.
Just like walking into off season the first day after the season's over, the wheel turns, the seniors are moved on. That first day in off season with the new cast, it's been every year of my career, every year with no exception. I'll walk in there and I'll look around and I'll think, we're not going to win a game next year. We're not going to win a game.
So now, Heath, would you say a bit of a crossroads right now for next year?
Yeah, so just a quick synopsis of where we're at. So, starting there in March, and then, a lot of the staff was rolling over. There were a lot of the new guys on the staff that didn't even come in until the summer. So it was literally, the spring was about, for us, it was about learning what is your name? What do you go by, and what position do you play? And it wasn't, we weren't into the weeds about, well, we need to move this guy to this position, or we're probably better off playing with this personnel on the field. There's none of that. It was just, let's get them pointed the right direction. But now, after having been there for a season, we're going to be able to put our touch on it a little bit more as far as what direction. I mean, every team has a little bit. We can't. We're not going to look just like we looked in 2019 at Rockwall. We've got different kinds of players, and trying to, it's trying to fit a square peg through a round hole sometimes, that you try to, because this was good a year ago, then, well, it's going to be the same. Well, you don't, in high school, you don't recruit your own players, so you take what you've got. So for us, it's going to be, shuffling the deck a little bit with kids that we've been around now for a year. We are just graduating a gigantic senior class, and the majority of our players were seniors this year. Just a dynamic group, a bunch of just the most awesome kids that accepted us and bought in to what we were selling, and they're really the ones that turned this season into a success and made it such an enjoyable experience. It's really those senior kids more than the coaches or anybody else. But they're gone now, so we've got an incoming senior class that, with the exception of this season, they've never won before. They were part of a 9-3 team, those that played on the varsity, but there are only about 8 juniors that played on the varsity. It wasn't many of them, right? The junior varsity also had a winning season, but prior to this year, that class of kids has never really experienced success. So you're dealing with a group of seniors coming in that they're still in the process of trying to learn how to win, and there's something, that program confidence that you need when you step on the field. In your heart of hearts, you believe you're going to win. And I think, that group is still developing that right now. Now, the younger group, the incoming juniors and incoming sophomores, they've been winning. So, they're going to have that natural confidence. But that's going to be our challenge.
Would you say, we talked about you overcoming that rough offseason for Heath, you have to give credit to the kids and what they did to overcome that too. I think a lot of people forget about that sometimes, and it's incredible what they achieved with an off season that was just up and down.
Yeah, for sure. And there were some of those during the time that they were limited on what they can do during the investigation. There were kids that were going off on their own and working out, and just knowing what the maturity to know what they have to do to get where they want to be. So thankful for that.
Yeah. Have we covered everything?
I think so.
This is going to have to be a two-parter. We went a while.
I say let it roll.
Oh, you think so? All right. Yeah, I'm good with that. Right. We'll edit the things out we didn't like.
No, we haven't gotten into we're going to talk politics. We talking Trump Biden tonight.
You want to go?
You want to get into? We're going to get into Gaza. I thought we were going to do some Gaza.
Let's do that.
Talk.
Let's solve the Gaza problem. Let's solve it right now. Let's solve that Middle East thing, because I think there's some answers out there that nobody's going after.
Well, there's nobody like a high school coach that could They could solve that.
That's right.
Right. You take it in. You just get to the bare bones.
Let Trey in it. Let us in on that deal. We'll get it fixed.
All right, Trey. How much are you a politics guy or not?
Not at all.
Really, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Like even local and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you are to a degree, and it's fun. It's fun talk and all that. And we'll have a few people on future podcasts that we'll have some folks that'll stir the pot a little bit. And that's our whole goal, for those that are wondering what we're doing here, we love having the Heath and the Rockwall side, and if we can we'd love to have some. We're conservatives. We're not hiding behind it, but we'd love to have some Democrats join us and give us their side of it, and then we can all do it. Discuss. Yeah, no name calling, no all that kind of stuff.
We need right now.
Yeah, and just see where you come to your point, because it's interesting to me how people get to their conclusions and their beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. Does anything like that happen in the locker rooms at all? Do you ever have to deal with, in this day and age, everybody's so sensitive about stuff? Is it a little tougher in the locker rooms now than it was previous?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can be at times, but I think, and this is, he says this all the time, like, it's so cool to have a group of, you got whatever, 80 to 100 guys in that locker room, and they're all different, like coming from different backgrounds, whatever, different upbringings. It could be different religions, it could be different, all kinds of differences. But sports and in particular football is one of the few places that you can all join together, and you're trying to work towards a common goal. And so. Yeah, I would say more often than not, like, you're putting aside all those differences to work towards something together. And, kids don't always get that nowadays, and that's one of the few opportunities for them to get that. And so, yeah, I mean, you have to deal with stuff like anybody else, but it's pretty cool that the majority of the time they're all working together toward one common thing.
And to put it in perspective, as far as the way we think of ourselves, when I first texted Rodney and Trey, I said, "Is there anything y'all need?" Rodney immediately says, "I want only green M&Ms." He wanted that, and that's
just right on
it. It was his deal. It was like, I asked Trey, and to his credit, Trey was like, "I'm fine with tap water." He was good with tap water. Because he's.
You've already gone Heath.
Yeah,
sure,
changed you.
And to be accurate, I asked for these in my dressing room.
Right, in the green room, I think is exactly what
you
you
just set them out here on the table. I don't really get that.
Well, first of all, we're just starting, so the budget's kind of low. So that's why there's only a few green ones. I was amazed when I went out and bought. I realized at the last minute I got to go buy a bunch of M&Ms. So I'm at 7-Eleven, and I'm like, I'll just buy a bunch of those bags. They didn't have a big bag, so I just bought a bunch of the.
Did you hand-pick those?
I hand-picked those out. I emptied those things out, and there was he didn't pick red. He's a Heath Hawks coach. He didn't pick red. He didn't pick orange as a former Yellow Jackets coach. And he's coached at every school in Texas. So every color is going to cover one of the teams he's coached, before. In fact, we talk about this a lot. He's only 2 teams away, I think, from coaching the entire district. Am I right? Of the 10-6A? Or 3 teams.
Fairly close.
Yeah.
Yes, fairly
all
close.
you need to do is Mesquite, Legacy, and Forney, North Forney. And you would cover our district. You would have coached every team in our district.
Yeah.
So, but yet he picks green, which is weird. But then Trey, to his credit, as a blue-collar guy here in Rockwall, tap water's fine. Tap water's fine.
I'm just trying to keep it neutral. I tried to pick a color of that I've worn the least over the years.
So have you ever coached a green team?
Naaman Forest.
Was your head coach?
25 years ago. No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Assistant coach, yeah.
I did want to go to one more thing. I know this is going on, but we're having a good time. Talk about, you have been, he doesn't watch movies, but yet he has a connection to a football movie, if you would like to discuss that.
Yeah, so I started my coaching career in Elgin. Trey actually has a similar connection here, by the way.
Good.
I started my coaching career in Elgin, Texas, and I think 2 years after I left Elgin, they shot the movie Varsity Blues in Georgetown and Elgin. And so
Were you there then?
Okay.
Yeah, there were several scenes in the movie that were shot in Elgin High School, in the middle school gym, in our local high school stadium, in the locker room of the stadium. And so my classroom, my second year at Elgin, was the classroom they used. The lady that was the sex ed teacher.
That was also the stripper.
Her classroom was my old classroom. And when Billy Bob loses his mind and quits the team, that was in the varsity locker room, and I lived in that field house for an entire summer. When I first got out of college, I didn't have a place to live. So yeah, I slept on I had a training table set up, and I slept on the training table every night in that locker room.
This is when you're married? Were you married?
No, it was pre-marriage.
Okay, all right.
I was not. I didn't make my wife live in
that could be a lot of that could answer a lot of questions about Fran's demeanor a lot. You know,
she did do some great decorating though. She really got that place snazzied up.
Trey, have you ever lived in a field house at any point?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I have a question for you guys. I often think of y'all in the positions you're in, and parents, pushy parents, crazy parents. I guess you've seen it all, right?
Yeah, somewhat.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I've got a little bit of a different perspective probably than a lot of people in that. So here's my feeling is that number one, I've been a dad, and my daughter was an athlete, and so I've seen everything through the lens of a parent. And so what I always think about is, for every parent, their child is the most important person in the world to them.
Yeah.
And so I do understand sometimes people say, well, they're irrational. That guy's crazy. Well, they're just parents that love their kids, okay? Now, that doesn't mean they're going to get what they want or whatever, but my attitude has always been a little bit, have a little softer edge, when it comes to communicating with parents, and just my understanding that, this is a parent that just wants what's best for their child. So that would be one thing. And then the second thing I think is that when you communicate in advance, when you're proactive with communication, and when it is evident to everybody involved that you love their kid and you have a coaching staff that loves their kid, you try to find value in kids, that solves so many problems. That's not to say there's not going to be some conflict, you're not going to have some hard conversations. But when parents know ahead of time that here are the rules, okay, this is how, and in our parent meeting every year, I'm brutally honest in the parent meeting about things like that, and I just think when parents know the landscape ahead of time, it diffuses them in about 70 or 80% of the situations.
Well, I think as a parent, both my kids being in there, you always have that attitude of, if they're not playing, your attitude is you got to give them a chance. If you give him a chance, he's going to excel. I've seen it. And then when they are playing a lot, but then they pull him, you're like, what are you doing? He's about ready to go nuts. He's about ready to go take control. Yeah. And that's a natural parent thing because we see it different than the coaches do. And the coaches are, seeing it from a logical, standpoint and all that. And I think it's just hard.
It's a tough line, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with what Rodney was saying. And it's become more and more clear to me as my sons are growing up that, and I agree with him as far as the way that parents see it, and because I feel that whenever my sons, I'm a coach, and I'm watching them, and I'm like, what are we doing,
Right.
And so it helps me to understand, a parent's perspective, the more they grow up and go through the same experiences. So I mean, I agree with that 100%. I can feel it as a parent.
Is that the toughest part of coaching? What would you say the toughest part is? Is it dealing with those kind of issues? Because those parents they're all in, and they should be.
Yeah, but I would say this: it's not dealing with the parents, but it is dealing with the kid that's not getting everything that he hoped he would get out of the experience. Because you think about, I've done this exercise before with our offensive skill kids. Okay, here's a piece of paper. I want receivers. I want you to write down how many catches you expect you're going to get per game, or just on an average. Write that number down. Running backs, I want you to write down, how many carries do you really expect you're going to get during the course of the game? And then everybody turns it in, right? And you start adding them up, and it's like 180, is what it adds up to.
Well, we're going to run 60 plays in this game.
That's right. We're going to run 60 plays. Right. We don't have 180.
You
so
can throw in some laterals, not to jump in your territory, but you throw in some laterals and stuff on those plays. You're going to double it up.
Yeah, try to get
and
it up.
Double it up. Say the flea flicker. It's a handoff and it's a pass.
Good point.
So,
Good point. All right.
Check two boxes right there in one play.
All right. That's why you're doing it.
No, but you do that, and the reality of it is that very rarely is it going to work out the way everybody always wants more of something. I want more playing time. I want play a different position. I want to play on a higher level team. I want to touch the ball more. I want to get more tackles. Whatever it is, you always want more. So there's this constant, as an athlete, it's this constant struggle of like, I want to have the fire in my belly. I want more, but I've got to be happy with what I have, and I've got to keep the team mentality first. That's the hardest thing as a coach, I think, is to get kids to understand that balance.
Do you see it a lot when I look at even in the NFL or college teams? Can you pick it up pretty quickly when you see a team not doing well? Can you see it sometimes go, man, they're not just playing it. There's too many selfish guys, or they're not working as a one unit. Can you see that pretty cleanly?
All the time.
Yeah, I think you can see it. Yeah, man, chemistry of a team has so much to do with its success, and man, it's not always the most talented team that wins. It's teams that care about each other and that are doing it for different reasons. And so, I've seen that definitely over the course of my career. One thing I was going to say, we talked about my story earlier. Being a walk-on, it's such a good story to draw on. Talking to parents and talking to kids. I mean, I feel like I've been at the lowest of the low on the totem pole, and one thing I talk about all the time is just trying to make the most of what it is that you have. Make the most of whatever it is your opportunity is, and then Rodney mentioned it earlier, but making kids feel valued, that makes me want to value kids because I mean I was nothing, and so
you were basically told you're not playing college ball.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the fact that my coach valued me, I mean that makes me want to, a scout team kid that's not playing in the game, it makes me want to value that kid, and help them to have the best experience possible. Whatever it is that they're doing. So that definitely helps.
And then Rodney can talk about his prima donna experience working at the library for a higher salary and got
exactly.
a scholarship, and people didn't like him.
Wait, why was it people didn't like you? I forgot.
It was because of his salary. Is what it was. Yeah.
So there was a sign-in sheet, and it had everybody's name, their social, and their hourly rate. That was just like a print-off, right? Okay. It was just like a standard print-off. And so everybody would sign in every day, right? Well, mine had all the information, but what I made, they would always white it out. The ladies that ran it, because they didn't want anybody else to see.
Oh my God.
And so nobody knew what I made. They didn't know what I made, but they knew it was something different than what they made, and they were
making
not
it
happy.
worse.
Yeah.
And it's like NIL early days.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Is this legal at all? Was that legal?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Now, this is a stupid question, but do y'all teach a class also? Or just straight up football?
Most head coaches in Texas do not. Most
no.
don't.
We don't.
That's more middle school.
No,
well every coach on the staff teaches a class.
Okay.
But
if you had to teach a good history class, you could do it.
Well, I'm an English. I have an English degree, so I was an
Yeah.
English teacher. And let me add that when I became the head coach at Roy City, I taught English. I still, I was the head coach at Roy City. I taught English, and our defensive coordinator made more money than I did at the time. Yeah,
really?
Some kind of quirk. Because he was an older guy that had a lot of teaching experience. So adding up all those teaching years, so that was it.
Oh wow!
It kept me
What
humble.
would you teach? Or have you taught?
Yeah. I was a history teacher, so I've taught world history, world geography, economics. I've taught PE.
Right.
So, yeah.
How does that compare? You prefer to be out on the field, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there are things that I miss about it. Just getting to be around kids that aren't athletes and getting to know those kids. Yeah, that I miss that part of it. But
there's just not time.
I taught for 3 years, and now I'm doing podcasts. So, gotta tell you how that went for me. Yeah. And so
a head football coach most of the time is the athletic director, or in a multi-school district like Rockwall, you're the campus athletics coordinator. And so there were people sometimes that'll say, wow, you don't teach. Like, what do you do all day? What do you do outside of football season?
Yeah.
And I just want to just say, why don't you just come on down and walk in our shoes for a day, because it really is amazing, this position, how many hats that you wear. And especially this time of year, it's very little to do with football this time of year, but it's 100 other things.
Well, I didn't realize that until we got to know you, and it was like every Tuesday and Friday, y'all are going to all these days, and then even other days too. And you have to go. You have to go support the other teams, be there at the gym, and kind of keep everything under control and all that kind of stuff. It is a lot. You don't realize that until you see. You think off season they're just coming in, kicking their feet up, and eating Funyuns, and they're not.
So now, I know you watch a lot of tape, which means what exactly?
Most all coaches do, but just film study. It's just like anything. You're just constantly trying to learn. You watch for a lot of different reasons. You watch the opponent because you're trying to learn things about the opponent. You want to learn big picture things like what is the scheme, what kind of coverage do they play, what are their offensive formations, what are their best plays. We trade online,
share between schools.
But then you're also watching your own team. You're watching to evaluate, and you show to the kids. This is a good example of a good play. You did your job right here. Well, now look at this play right here, and because of a lack of effort or a bad alignment or a bad stance, or you didn't know your assignment or whatever, you got to correct this. But it's watching our practice every single day. Watching our game film.
We have drones. We have drones that video. Yeah, video practice. Yeah, and we go home and watch practice every night.
Do the kids watch or just?
Kids do. Send it to
Hopefully
them.
they do. Some of them do.
One of the greatest things, at least for me, was in the earlier days when we started. If you want to see the team, you got to go to practice and you watch practice and all that. Now there's Huddle, and they've been good enough to give me a password to jump in, and so everybody's like, "You want to practice?" I'm like, "Oh no!" Click, click, click. Watch this right here in my air-conditioned living room. I'm going to watch this. It's the technology is crazy.
Yeah, so kids can watch video at home on their computer. They can watch it on their phone. It's pretty cool.
When I taught, I don't know how many times you'd find the football players. You'd man, that dude is really doing the lesson. He's watching film. He's watching the practice or game film or whatever. And of course, me being the broadcast, I'm like, hey, yeah, you're fine. Go ahead and finish it. You can get that lesson in later.
So recruiters these days have a ton of stuff.
They do.
Yeah.
Or just go to Twitter and you see all of them posting it. Yeah.
Online.
But all that stuff is online based now, so they have access. They can look up any kid anytime.
Will they still come to a game for somebody they're interested in? Or they not really?
Well, recruiting rules keep them from being on school campuses until it's what's called an open period, and the open period doesn't start until the third round of the playoffs. Okay. Or fourth round of the playoffs.
So it's late in the season they're able to come, but this is the time of year right now when recruiters come around. So they're coming through schools, and then it'll shut down National Signing Day, which is at the beginning of February. It'll shut down, and then it'll open back up for spring football. So
Do they want to talk to these kids too?
Yeah.
They want to see what they're about.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And then y'all talk about y'all are integral too in getting word out about these kids to schools too. I mean, it's a big part of the job is letting these guys know this kid would fit well, all that, right?
Yeah, a lot of times they're making the rounds. They're coming through, and they may not have an idea of what you have, but they know they want to come to Rockwall High School, and so then you tell them, hey, look, you ought to look at these kids, and then that's when the film comes into play. Like you're giving them links to video, and they're able to look at it and evaluate kids and decide if they want to offer or whatever. So,
what are your thoughts? I've been hearing that now college kids can make money, ads and sponsors.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Well, Rodney was doing it back in the '80s, but now the kids are doing it legally.
Who are you sponsored by back then?
by the library.
Right, the school. Yeah. Dick, who is it?
Dick Smith Memorial Library.
Dick Smith Memorial Library.
Dick Smith.
Yeah, he was there.
So what has changed? When did it change, and what does this mean?
Well, it's name, image, and likeness, NIL. Okay, and the heart of it's a legal thing. Okay, it was the Supreme Court ruled on it. So there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. Okay. That you have to be able to pay players. Okay, but it's for their name, image, and likeness. So doing a commercial, a printed ad, a TV ad, having your likeness on a video game, things like that. You could because before an amateur athlete could not monetize that, but now you're able to.
Is that what
However, everything that SMU did that got on the death penalty is all not only legal now but encouraged. Everything,
Yeah.
pretty much everything.
Yeah. So like a jersey in a store, I mean, it would be clearly whoever, it's this player, but that player is not getting anything from it. So I think that's kind of the root of it all. But then it has just taken off and turned into something different now.
Do high school kids make money?
No.
No.
NIL, it has been legalized in certain states, but not in Texas.
Okay.
But now the NIL, though, if I'm understanding it right, it can't be the school that pays them. Correct. It has to be outside the school. It has to be advertisers or businesses.
But it's
that can
all
pay them.
interconnected.
So
now.
Right.
Amazing high school senior, and Nike was interested. In some states, they could pay that kid $1 million.
So, well, it's interesting you bring up Nike because just had a conversation today with the D-line or DB coach at Texas Tech, and we were talking about that. He used to be at Oregon. Phil Knight, who runs Nike, he's a big Oregon guy, right? Eugene, Oregon. So that's where the Oregon deep pockets come from Nike. They come from Phil Knight. So, yeah, if Oregon wants a guy, then Phil Knight writes him a check. And But the thing about it is that it's not really NIL. It's not they're not doing anything. They're just getting paid to play.
Yeah, where it started was I'm going to do a ad for Subway and I'm going to get paid for doing that. But now it is just you're just getting paid to come to a school.
Well, Ewers is the best example that didn't. Was his senior year? Didn't he skip his senior year in high school, or what was? I'm trying to remember what happened.
He skipped his senior year
at South Lake
to be able to go to Ohio State. Because he could graduate early and make the NIL money a year earlier.
He made like $1 million.
Right.
Never even saw the field hardly at Ohio State, but made $1 million. Yeah. And you look at the kid now at Texas, Arch Manning. I think he's making a lot of money. Now he's going to be a player at some point, and be a part of it. But
it's just turned into so many different things now where kids are asking like, hey, if you want me to play in this bowl game, then I want, $100,000. But, whereas it's so much different even than the NFL. Like the NFL, it's contracts, and so you can't just ask for things, in the middle of your contract. And so
the thing that's crazy to me is that college has gotten to be way more professional than professional football, it seems like. And it's the Wild West in college. It's like professional football and professional sports have, guidelines.
And,
in college, it's out the window.
It's not even a contract. There's not even you're getting paid, but there's not even a contract to fulfill. I mean, it's 4 months because you're going to be there until the portal window opens again. And, that's typically 4 months. So,
and you can easily do something. I would think what you're talking about with Phil Knight and stuff would be the schools like Alabama and Texas and Oklahoma. They got a lot more deep pockets than. Like a Louisiana Tech or something like that. So those guys already have an advantage. Now they have the money advantage. And you worry about these kids picking schools. Talk about this. When a kid picks a college to go to, like y'all did, the last thing you were thinking about was money. You were thinking about the coaching staff, the atmosphere, the team, all these things. And you wonder if these kids are even thinking of that anymore.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of kids that they show up to their recruiting visit, and that's the first question that they ask is how much are you going to be able to pay me? Definitely not all of them, but there's a lot of them, and a lot of the big time ones. That's the first question they're going to ask.
So, got a story yesterday from a recruiter on our campus that told me that they had a kid that he was not going to sign with anybody unless they paid for his wedding. That was his ask. You have to pay for my wedding.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That is a true story.
Yeah.
What kind of wedding?
I have no idea.
So, is there any way to? I mean, I know they talk about now they're trying to do things to have some guidelines, but I agree with you. I think the toothpaste is out of the tube, and I think you can probably do little things here and there. But it seems it's gone from the NCAA used to be the most strict, like you couldn't talk to a booster or whatever couldn't talk to a player at a golf course or whatever, and you're going to get this, you're going to get suspended, to now it doesn't matter, and these boosters can still pay for these players. I'm assuming if you just kind of funnel it through business or whatever.
Yeah, it almost feels like the NCAA was like, you want it, you got it.
Yeah.
You know,
and they have no authority.
And now it's the coaches wanted to have that ability to do that, but now it's so overblown that they don't. I mean, it's harder on the coaches now.
Well, and then think about throwing the transfer portal, which is that players can now. It used to be you couldn't leave a school once you committed, and if you did, you had to sit out a year, and there was a lot of issues when you left, and you were not going to get a lot of playing time at the new school. You got guys just it's. Again, I mean, the most successful teams are losing. Alabama's losing people left and right, and they are one of the top teams in college because they switch coaches. But to me, it's not even. You would worry. Whatever they show the recruiting rankings every year for these colleges. You're like, oh man, that's a great class. Well,
doesn't even matter.
Doesn't matter. I mean, about 70% of them probably are going to be somewhere else in the next couple of years because somebody else is going to come knocking at their door saying we can pay you more or we can do this. And it doesn't really matter, and it's really, in my opinion, it's hurting college football immensely.
You talk about Alabama and the massive number of transfers they had when Coach Saban retired, but I'll tell you the behind the scenes on that is that you don't have unlimited transfers. You have one transfer. You have to get a waiver for a second transfer. However, if the head coach leaves, retires, gets fired, whatever, then anybody can transfer. So there were a lot of guys in that program at Alabama that were stuck there, that had already transferred. They didn't have another one, and they're going to have to stay. And then when Saban retires, they got a chance for a payday. They got a chance to go somewhere else and make a lot more money. So that's why they had the mass number of defections they had at Alabama.
And remember the COVID deal, a lot of times they added a year for players. Players got an extra year there. And then you got the kid even a kid, he's a adult at University of Miami. He's going to be his 9th year at the University of Miami.
Yeah, I heard
9
about that
years.
The other day.
He was in Marcus Mariota's class coming out of high school.
He better have a doctorate for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. We were joking on our text thread. I was like, he's got to be head of pediatrics at Johns Hopkins or something because 9 years. You're right. Marcus Mariota's class, who Marcus Mariota right now should probably think about retiring from the NFL. And
his NFL career is already come and gone.
And this guy he played with is not even out of college yet. And I don't even know how you can work 9 years, but he did somehow, and it's going to be his 9th year in college.
And he still lives in the dorm too. It's crazy.
And but what is his age then? If you think about it, when you go to school,
27.
27, okay. Unbelievable. Because you did have that a little bit when players would go play minor league baseball or something, and they came back. They'd be a little older and stuff, but that was rare. I mean, the guy that played at Oklahoma State that ended up getting drafted, the Cowboys had him for a little bit. I'm forgetting his name. But anyway, it was kind of rare.
This guy's he's married and divorced.
Right,
already.
Right. Got grandkids and, AARP card and everything else.
Now, you hear a lot in baseball, kids skip college and go right to the big leagues. Yeah. Doesn't happen in football?
No.
Just does not happen. Why?
Physical development.
Yeah, it's just a different gap.
They're just not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, success and failure in football is related so much to your your physicality. It's a physical game no matter what position you play.
Size.
Yeah, right. And so it's just I think more of a premium in college on having a more developed, mature.
And isn't it? I think it is a regulation. You have to at least play 2 years in college. I think.
Oh, do you? Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think about those baseball kids that go straight to?
Well, they're in a developmental process too. Football doesn't really have minor leagues, although college is kind of becoming that. But in baseball, you can go the collegiate route or you can go the minor league route. But in either case, it's a developmental league. So you're going to play multiple years of pro baseball in the minor league system typically before you ever make it to the major leagues.
Was it a Heath kid or a Rockwall kid that went straight to not minor leagues but playing? At 18 or 19?
I don't think so. Yeah. Jet Williams was a first-round draft pick a few years ago, and he's
moved up pretty quick.
Yeah, but he's still in the minor leagues.
Yeah.
Now, he'll go to major league spring training with the Mets, but not a guarantee he's going to make the major league roster.
You look at somebody like Kanan Smith, Jackson's brother, who was up in the majors for a little bit last year with the Pirates, but he's put in a number of years, and he's outstanding, player.
But what's interesting, he came out as an 18-year-old, graduated high school as an 18-year-old, and so it seems like he's been doing it for a long time, but he's still young. I mean, I don't know how old Kanan is, probably, 20, 23, something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing about those kids that go straight from high school to the pros. They're just getting a faster start. So they may be 23 years old and they put 5 years in already. So,
I always think about that family. You got Jackson playing professional football. The brother plays professional baseball.
Man.
You know, like there's something in the Wheaties there. Yeah. That's impressive. That's extremely impressive. Yeah, especially when you look at the odds of making a professional team for any person.
Have y'all coached brothers before on the same team? Does that happen very often? 2 years apart?
The orgies.
Yeah. We have a set of twins. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, on the team now.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess we have a couple times.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that. The Bowen brothers at Geyer. But I can't think of too many outside of that, honestly.
Yeah. I'm trying to think at Rockwall. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you look at the same family, like the orgies, and how well they've done.
Yeah.
You know, with their guys.
Yeah.
There's 3.
Yeah.
Well, you had Alston. That was he was in my son's grade. They graduated in 18, and Alston played at Vanderbilt. Was an outstanding player here. And then you had Anthony, that is now in the New Orleans Saints practice squad, I think.
Yep.
He also went to Vanderbilt. And then Alex, who left Rockwall and ended up finishing up at Saxe, but is at Michigan, and he got to play in the national championship a little bit. Played a couple plays, you know, at quarterback. So that's a very impressive deal.
Yeah.
And the best part of it is, of course, and it was Rodney's idea, but I got to do it, was finally an orgy scored, and I got to say there's an orgy in the end zone, and that was the highlight of my career. You know, and so
memorable.
very memorable. And so we were only suspended for a couple weeks, so it was all right. Yeah. But that was one of my favorite moments. It was a pick 6 for Anthony, I think, and I was like, "There's an orgy in the end zone." You know?
You were waiting for
Oh
that.
my gosh! I think Rodney was the first one to say it years ago when Alston was playing, and he texted. He goes, "If he scores, you have to say this."
So their name is Orgy?
ORJI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not G.
Yeah. That was my favorite. And also, when you do a broadcast, you talk to the other broadcasters. You go over names, make sure everybody says it right. And every time they would come in and go, "Oh, so this is Orhi?" I'm like, No.
Don't try to-
Orjai? Nope. It is exactly what it looks like, and you enjoy it. You enjoy it.
Have fun with it.
You have fun with it, and they are great kids and great players. Yeah. And family's great. Yeah. So it was fun.
So you've been doing you have broadcast Rockwall football for how long now?
We'll be starting 17 years coming up. Yeah.
17.
2007 or 2008 was when we started. Yeah. Coach Smith.
So you have really been able to see that.
Oh, we've been to the extremes. David Sweet's been with me the whole time, and we have seen the extremes. Coach Smith was great, but he just didn't have a lot of success. We made the playoffs once, I think. I think he was here 5 years. I think we did it 5 years. Then Rodney showed up in 2013, and then everything just exploded. And now have not missed the playoffs since 13, and handing it off to Trey, and Trey doing an outstanding job. So, yeah, we've done that. But then we also do the baseball, basketball, and all that stuff. And that's what's incredible about this whole thing is the baseball teams. I think it's 21 straight years. I think baseball's been in the playoffs. Basketball is pretty consistent, both girls and guys, and the girls softball is very good. Volleyball is outstanding. Wrestling, we did wrestling for the first time a few weeks ago.
You've been liking the wrestling?
I thought the wrestling was fun. I was very worrisome when I first
Have you learned
did it.
about it?
I did. I had to learn a little bit, and had a couple good guys that were with me that walked me through it. But I did bring up a few. Where's the folding chair? Where's the Von Erichs? I don't see any costumes. I thought there'd be better costumes.
Turnbuckles. Where are the turnbuckles?
Yeah, I want to see a full Nelson. I haven't seen a full Nelson or a half Nelson even, but that was fun. And so we do soccer now, and the soccer teams are outstanding. And so this is where you're blessed at this district.
Rockwall is
Well, and Heath too.
ton of talented.
I mean, you look at both
Rockwall,
sides.
Heath.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I don't know of any of all the team sports. I don't think any of them have any kind of losing streak or anything. Like, they're all in the playoffs. They all do well, and it's expected now, and it's just an outstanding opportunity for these kids. And I think it was one of the better decisions that was made years ago when they decided to make the 2 high schools. A lot of people weren't nuts about it, but we'd be in Allen but if we all had kids, you're going to have kids in high school, and you do, and I want my kids to have opportunities to do things in high school. And my kids had an opportunity because we had 2 schools, and they wouldn't have made teams that they made if we had one, one school. And I think it's been very beneficial. I mean, you got Heath has had couple of state championships in baseball and stuff with a basically split, group and stuff. And Rockwall's right there in baseball, right there at the cusp, and Rockwall softball was in the state championship, and they've won state championships in gymnastics, and soccer was in it. Yeah,
a lot of good programs.
Yeah.
Rodney, how was your experience with Highland Park?
I loved it. I really did. I loved it. Great people down there. Probably, not what people would necessarily expect to hear, but, you think about wealthy, pretentious people. I didn't really encounter that. Very, very, very little of that. What I found were a bunch of people that were can-do people that saw the big picture, that wanted to do whatever they could to help, wanted to make me feel at home. It was just a wonderful, wonderful experience all the way around. The people in the school district, the coaches, that were in our program, and then the community and the kids. It was just an outstanding place. Great experience. A little far from Rockwall, though. That drive was I did not look forward to that. And as bad as it was going in the morning, I left early enough that it was normally – but I had to leave really early, but it was the coming home part that it was a real crapshoot.
Did you ever leave Rockwall? Went to the other schools? Did you move?
Or? When I was at Denton Guyer, yes, we moved to Denton. Yeah, we were there for 2 years.
But you kept your house at Old Town?
Mm-hmm. Okay. We did, yeah.
Yeah, they rented it to...
Which is right across.
A family with a 3-legged dog. They were good, though. Yeah, they had a 3-legged dog. I always felt bad for him out there just making his way.
I had an uncle with a 3-legged dog named Tripod.
Tripod, yeah.
He was fast. Surprisingly fast.
Oh yeah, so it was good to have the Webbs back. It's back to normal now on Tyler Street, where there's just shenanigans.
Twist to the...
Yeah.
We have Rodney sneaking in the house at one point with a wig and an axe, working with Berkeley to sneak in because she let him through the garage or whatever, and me and Autumn are just hanging, and he comes in with an axe and a wig like a murderer.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, got photos. Yeah. His whole goal is to scare Autumn. Autumn has this green chair she loves that she sits right by the front door, and he just jumps in.
Autumn has a Lady Remington, doesn't she?
Well, let me tell you, since I've gone to Heath and become, enemy of the state,
right?
I don't go barging into the house anymore because they could do it, and then
right now it's like trespassing.
Yeah,
you're on private property, sir.
It's a lot different now.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
There's some kind of law. I can't think of the name of it, but there's a law if you're in somebody's house.
Right, you can shoot them.
Mayor or what?
Right. Even though you're the mayor.
Yeah, I knock very. Now there's no
But when he was coach at Rockwall, there was times. I mean, one time we accidentally left the garage door open. Well, that was just an open invitation for them just to sneak into our house.
What's the picture story you've told?
Oh, I've told that 100 times. Yeah, it was just it's just Fran and Gracie had left. I think Gracie was in college.
Yeah.
Fran went to see her. Rodney stayed at home, and then I think I just texted him or something. Hey, what are you doing? I'm heading over to Richardson. He was buying a new Jeep. I think you're going to get your Jeep. So we knew he was going to be gone for a while. And, we just went over to the house. I guess he hadn't locked it all the way, if I remember right. And so we get in there. We take every picture down that they have or on the table, and we replaced it with Quentin pictures. And every one of them, we replaced them. And I don't think he noticed at all until it was like a weekend, right?
It was a few days later.
Right.
And I noticed a picture of the Quintons, and I'm like, oh, because I figured they were up to something, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you got me.
He showed one picture. Yeah.
It was picture.
It was Berkeley in gymnastics is what it was.
Yeah.
Like a gymnastics
that
picture.
caught your eye.
And he thought, you got me. You switched out this picture, not knowing the whole house has been switched out. And then Fran comes home, and it was pretty quick. Like she's like, "What? Why are the Quintons?" I mean, we even replaced the family photo with our family photo, the big one, going into the kitchen. And he never missed it. He just went right in there. Yeah. It's a fun time. It's a fun time.
I'm not very observant.
Exactly. Or if there's spiders, we'll get a call because that's one thing. What's the biggest thing you're afraid of?
Oh gosh, I'm not a big fan of snakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had one in our backyard not too long ago, and I had to call one of our players to
come get it.
Yeah, he is a big fan of snakes.
Okay, who is it?
Ranger Weatherford.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, a guy named Ranger should be coming in and getting a snake. Yeah.
Yeah. So I called him. Yeah. It's funny actually. he was in class with one of our coaches. Carly called me and she was freaking out. There's a snake in our backyard, and so I texted Ranger and he was like, "I'm in class." I said, "What class?" "Well, I'm in Coach Cram's class." I said, "All right, I can call him."
Get out.
Yeah, I said, "Ranger, hey man, we have a snake in our backyard. Would you like to get it?" And he said, "I'd love to."
What kind of snake was it?
I don't know. It actually was. He couldn't find it when he got
We've
there.
gotten numerous calls from Rodney and Fran when there's a tarantula, and they were like, "You need to come get it."
Tarantulas?
Yeah, he freaks out over it.
We have tarantulas in Old Town. You're aware of this.
I have not seen one.
Oh yeah, they all live
we
at the
have
Webbs because
there,
we've
yeah.
never had one, but they have a ton. I guess there's like a nest underneath their house or whatever.
There is a nest.
Yeah.
When we used to live in Ethan's house.
Oh, that's right.
I would go outside, and I remember, I think it's by your house now. It's right under the water thing. I can't
Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember days I'd walk over there, there'd be like 3.
He'll get them. And I don't mind tarantulas. They're fine. Yeah, but they're not poisonous. So but one time we got one. It was like at midnight, and he calls me. He says, "Dude, you gotta get." So I come over, and we found a little. I guess it was one of Gracie's old sand pails. It was like a pink and yellow handle. And I get the tarantula in there, and we decide, okay, we don't want to kill it. Let's just release it. Go down to Dobbs because we live at Rusk and Tyler Street. So we decide. So there's me and Rodney at midnight walking together with a pink bucket, just kind of going along to Dobbs to release the spider.
To release a tarantula
To release
at
to a
elementary
tarantula.
school.
At an elementary school to let it prey on all the elementary school kids.
That's awesome.
But anybody that go out their window and look like, what's happening here? It looked like just two progressive guys just having a good time with their pink bucket.
That's right.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I live in the Shores.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's big time. Yeah. Now you moved here when you became head coach, right? Because you did live. Where'd you live before?
Yeah, I lived in Forney for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rodney's always seemed to get it backwards. I think you lived in Heath for a while you were head coach at Rockwall, and now you're in Rockwall as head coach of Heath.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's.
I like the dual citizenship. I like the idea. Of being able to go either side of town and feel welcome.
Well, and then we almost sold him our house on Valley Drive. In fact, we had an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And about 2 days before it was going to close, Rodney gives me a call. Hey, because we were going to buy where we're at. We buy the my wife's grandparents' house, and there's a big lot, so we were going to build on the open part of the lot. And there's a house that was for sale across the street, and Martha Ann's house. And he calls and says, "Yeah, we found something else. We're going to have to back out." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Was that a little bit my fault?
Was you? I know you were involved.
He was involved in that.
Yes.
I think I told you there's this really cool.
Yes, because it wasn't on market or it wasn't public.
I didn't know it was you.
Right, and so he calls up because we're all set. We got the price we wanted. We're ready to roll.
It was good.
And all of a sudden he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna back out." And then he goes, "And we're gonna be your neighbors, by the way. we're gonna live across the street from you where you're moving." And I was like, "Oh, wonderful."
So it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, it was fine. But yeah, so then we made about 30,000 less after that. But it's fine. We're over it. Everything's good. Autumn's finally kind of getting over it, and so I think we're gonna be okay.
Autumn was more upset with the Heath move. You were, wasn't you?
With him going to Heath?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that hardly goes to any of the games. She literally yelled at them, "I'm bitter." I mean, she yelled that across the street.
Autumn, who left the Rockwall ISD and is now at Saxe High School.
Which Autumn, for those that don't know, Autumn is Billy's wife.
Yes. And as a
tried and true Rockwall
generations back.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back generations, all Rockwall High School graduates.
When you did that,
he got her. Yeah. She did not like it.
Right.
When he took the Heath job. And she just would yell. And we always give each other a hard time about it. Well, Autumn just cuts right to the core and just yells like, "I hate this." She just yells that. And we're like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Well, y'all," I'm like, "We're bantering. We're having fun. You're just yelling insults. I mean,
she'll never forgive me for going to Heath, and she'll never forgive me for getting black incorporated into the Rockwall color scheme.
That's right.
Because the old Rockwall people, it's orange and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm the bad man.
Now,
very first day, you had the black helmet.
Why were you? What was that about?
Honestly, it wasn't me. I would not have done that, but it was our principal, our booster club, our captains, they all hit me up about it, and I'm like, well, if all these people are interested in doing it, then
let's do it.
Well, let's just see. Yeah,
you didn't know about Old Rockwall.
This would not exist without you.
Correct.
Yeah, and what's awesome now is that I can just blame him for it. Any of it, I can do.
I'll say though, I'm not Old Rockwall. I like it.
I do too.
I like it.
Like
now
that's
I
a
get
sharp helmet.
Right, that's a really cool helmet.
Now,
and
did you design
no, I did. That's been an older Yellow Jacket. I just kind of tweaked it. I've tweaked it over the years, but not design. I can't take design. Now I've done Heath. I've done all the Heath stuff.
The H.
Yeah. Well, the H. Not necessarily the H. I did the hawk thing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
The only thing I haven't done, but
Heath hawk.
Yeah. And so last couple of them, and so, but no, with the black incorporated and the gray, that's her. That's her biggest thorn is the gray jerseys. That's the one that she.
That's funny.
Yeah. Now, as a broadcaster, I hate the gray jerseys. I like the way they look, but we cannot see the numbers. And so it just drives us. Every time we go to the game and we go out there and they start warming up, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that's just their undershirts. I hope it's not gray. It's like, it's gray. They're going gray.
So your only view is eye view to the.
We've got binoculars, but you can't do play-by-play with binoculars. We used to until they got taken away from us this last year because the monitors did help us, but.
What happened?
It's just budget issues, I guess, or something. I don't know. We showed up and there's no monitor in the booth, and that was our lifeblood. That was.
They already had them, so what do you mean?
They had to use it for something else. They took it out to use it for something else, and so we're sitting there you got two old guys, me and Sweet, trying to read these orange numbers on gray uniforms, and we're just massacring some of it. That was a great catch by you. Just kind of roll the dice, and.
Now, are you ever hard on the coaches?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I give him a hard time, but
But if a bad play is played,
no, not on the broadcast ever.
You would not say that.
No, they don't. It's not. We're not there for that. We're there, to be honest with you, as high school broadcasters.
That's good broadcasting.
No, because they don't need my opinion on what that was a bad call or not. People know things that are happening. We just say, like, if there's a player that drops a pass, a crucial play, he drops a pass, misses a kick, I'm not going to sit there and rip the kid.
No.
And so we just say, oh, man, he just missed it, or he just couldn't hang on to that one or whatever. The reason we got hired was because the previous broadcaster was like that. He would rip the coach on that was a terrible call. He shouldn't have called that, huh? And he would get on the kids. You need to bench him. He shouldn't have done that, And people were getting uptight. And so one day we were asked to, and I never done it, and Ken Jones over at the radio station said, how about you and Sweet? And we're like, we're in. And so we did it, and there we are 17 years later.
What the hell was Coach Brooks thinking?
Oh, we think it.
I was going to say, the big part of that is that we've never made a bad call.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That doesn't happen. Yeah. I mean, ever since the flea flicker,
yeah,
things have gone well.
I'm figuring out about that. I mean, I felt like I was over the flea flicker. I feel like you're over it, but
no. We're not over it.
People are not over it.
We're not over it.
Well, one person in particular is not over
it. No, not over it. And then also just the whole, I'll just say this, I congratulate Trey. He calls a lot more touchdown plays than I think Rodney did. I don't know why Rodney didn't call more touchdown plays. And so that's the thing that, confuses me. I don't know why. But no, we would always joke about that kind of stuff. But no, I'm never going to criticize the coaches. We'll criticize the refs or the umps, now and then. But we try to be, delicate about it. But sometimes when it's a bad call that goes against you, you can't help but say, okay, that one hurt. That was a bad call. But as far as coaches or players, we're never going to do that because it's high school, and you're not going to. Everybody's out there doing what they need to do. But college, obviously that's fair game and definitely pros, but not us. Yeah. Now we'll give each other a hard time. I'll give Rodney a hard time, and stuff, but not on play calling. We'll just joke around.
Air?
Yeah, on air. We'll joke around about stuff, and things. And I even had a costume this year, a Halloween costume idea that you could go as Rodney Webb, and it was a shirt that had all his schools on it lined up and a hat that had all the logos on it and everything. It was just full. I was like, go as Rodney. No, I love it.
I see from that, you're in high demand.
Exactly.
Absolutely. There's no question. That's what I see too.
You got to keep moving. That's how it works.
And what did I say earlier? Got the best two you can get here in the district. Got the best two.
That's right.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of Rockwall people that are, don't understand it, and to a degree I don't, because we've talked about this. Because a fan is always a fan, no matter what happens. We're a Yellow Jacket fan, good or bad. We're a Yellow Jacket for the rest of our life. A coach is in a different spot. It's their job. but you may change it. Now you're a Cougar or whatever it is, and it's a different outlook. But as a fan, you look at a coach like, why are you not sticking with us? Why are you not, but it's like
I would think that'd be hard. Like, that's your guys. That's Rockwall. But that's not what you're there to coach a team. And
yeah, you're as a coach, you're always going to be loyal to your team, your guys, your school. Not just football, but I'm all in. I work at Heath. I'm all in. I'm all in for the Hawks.
It's not about the Hawks or the Yellow Jackets. It's the kids you're working with.
Right,
but it is in with that too, though. You want the traditions, you want all that stuff, and be all in on that, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think when I'm retired and I look back on my career, I'll have fond memories from every place that I was, and I don't know that I'm going to see myself as a Hawk or a Yellow Jacket or a Bulldog or a
Jaguar or
the other ones.
Cougar.
Yeah. And so for me, having people wonder like, how you've been at Rockwall 7 years, now you're Heath. How can you hate the Yellow Jackets? I thought you loved the Yellow Jackets. Well, I don't hate the Yellow Jackets. When we compete against each other, we're going to try to win because that's my team. But the guys on the staff, they're some of my best friends, and so many fond memories and so many good people on that campus that I'm not rooting against Rockwall in any other game, unless we're playing.
But now the cool thing is Trey will be here for the rest of his life as a Yellow Jacket, so I mean we're fine with that, and he's committed, and so we're all good. No, but and it wouldn't be knowing Rodney as a good friend. If it was any other coach, I wouldn't be joking like this, but it's a good friend, and so you can do this. You can kick him around and have fun. Now, there's a lot of people that don't understand that, and we've made some jokes on the air and stuff, and we did a fake interview before the Rockwall Heath game where we just ripped on each other, and there was a few people that I don't think got that there was a joke.
There are some Rockwall fans. None of it's a joke.
No.
It is serious.
Right, because you're the fan, and me and him have this talk all the time. I am a fan of the Yellow Jackets, the Texas State Bobcats, the Dallas Cowboys, for life. Nothing's going to change. I think Rodney has a different outlook on things because he sees it different.
Right.
Yeah.
It's more about the people than the team.
Right.
Yep. I'm all about the Heath Hawks, and then the college teams and the pro teams are strictly a matter of which of the kids that I coach, where are they playing, because I'm pulling for that team.
So you're a Seahawk fan.
A huge Seahawk fan.
He's got Seahawk.
Never before.
He's got Seahawk apparel.
If Jackson never gets traded or signed somewhere as a
49ers and you're
49er fan immediately.
Because it's about the people, not the team.
And that was our conversation when Cowboys played the Seahawks. He's like, well, so you're rooting for the Seahawks? I'm like, no. I'm Cowboys all the way. He goes, what about Jackson? I go, oh, Jackson has a great game. And he did. He had maybe his best game of the year was against the Cowboys. I was so happy about that. But we still won, and it was a win-win for me, because I'm a fan. That is my team. I'm sticking with them. I don't care what else happens.
And to me, that completely doesn't register. How could you possibly not root for Jackson's team to win the game? And if I ever had two guys playing against each other, that would make it really difficult.
But look where the spot he's in now. 3 years ago or 2 years ago, he's all in on Ohio State in the Big Ten, and he's wearing Ohio State stuff because Jackson's there. Now Braden Locke is at Wisconsin, also Big Ten. Now, and he's rooting for Ohio State to beat Wisconsin 2 years ago. Now, this year, I need Wisconsin to beat Ohio State because Braden's at Wisconsin. And that's now, Trey, how was your rooting interest? Do you have teams you grew up with? You still root for them?
Yeah, I definitely have teams that I root for and that always will. I mean, A&M being the main one. But I also agree. I mean, I see both sides of it. I also agree with Rodney. I'm a huge Seahawks fan now.
Right.
And I was.
And I am too when they don't play the Cowboys.
Yeah. And I was a huge Ohio State fan for 3 years.
But that's your field, and that's the thing that's different. We don't have. Y'all have a connection we'll never have with those guys. And but it would be the same for me if my son or daughter played on another team that I would be all in on that team then because that's mine, and so I would still be a fan of the other team I'm rooting for, but I would be a lot more, if whatever. And so it's just a different dynamic, I think, because I look at it in my profession. When I was in graphic design and advertising. The Richards Group was basically our rival when I would work at other agencies. I was at the Beard Agency, and we did not like them. Well, I got an offer from them, and I'm like, I could go work there. Now, I ended up not going there because there's a couple things I want to do, but I was going to switch because I want to move up and I want to do that. I want to try this. I want to be a part of that. So I see that, it wasn't like I didn't like the Beard Agency I was at, but this is a great opportunity over here. And so, but the owner of the Beard Agency didn't look at it that way. And so that's just the way it kind of, goes. And I think we all have that. I think all coaches are that way. I can't imagine. What was the coach that was the basketball coach at A&M a few years ago that had the offer at Kentucky? And he got to go coach at Kentucky.
Yeah. Billy Gillespie.
Gillespie. Yeah. Former Bobcat, by the way. And so, but he, people were pissed at him because he was leaving A&M. I was like, dude, he's going to Kentucky. This is like the apex of college basketball. How do you fault a guy for that?
Yeah.
So it's just a different perspective, I think. Yeah. But we will have battles on it. Rodney was like, well, he asked us, so are you rooting for us in the playoffs? Well, yeah, I'm going to root for you, but you're a rival still, so I'm not like waving the flag. But I want everybody to do well. Now, Autumn was on the other end of it. Autumn was not in.
Heath Duncanville. Autumn, who you rooting for? Duncanville.
Autumn was all in Duncanville.
She is not going to let it
She wasn't going to go.
Heath versus ISIS.
ISIS. She's in for ISIS.
Yeah.
Because Autumn's all in.
Loyalty to the max.
Right.
I mean, you got to respect that.
Right. She's all in.
But it's not loyalty towards something. It's loyalty against. It's the opposite, I guess.
Right.
Well, anyone that challenges that loyalty to her.
Right. That is a rival. And so, and I think you soften some, but like there's certain things, like I grew up a Longhorn fan, and I didn't like the Aggies. So even when because as growing up, you're like, well, that's a rival. So even when the Aggies were playing, in the Cotton Bowl against somebody else, I'm like, I don't want a rival to win, It's a little different with Heath because you know so many people over there and you want them to do well. I want him to do well. I want all these people we know to do well. And so that would probably mean the team will do well. But I'm not living and dying with it, as I'm assuming Heath people are. I'm sure they're not sitting there going, man, Jackets, go get it all. No, I'm sure they're like, hey, we would like to have that piece of the pie before y'all get that piece of the pie. And so that's where I think it comes into play. But like I told when Rodney said, are you rooting for Heath, when he's asking, I said, okay, let me put in perspective. When Benedict Arnold went over to the British, do you think he went back to the Patriots, the Colonials, and said, are you still rooting for, you're going to root for me when we face y'all? No, we're not. At Saratoga, we're on our side. We're not going to root for you now because we know you, And so I think that was a good example, don't you think?
Fine example.
Just compared him to Benedict Arnold.
It's probably not the first time.
No, it's numerous times. Yeah. Numerous times. So I just switch it up on who the trader is.
Well, I'm so glad you guys.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yep.
We're going to have you back when football season starts.
All right.
Yeah.
Be awesome.
And we'll go 4 hours then. I don't know how long. What have we done? 2 hours here?
During football season, we may have to split you two
up.
Oh, no.
It'll be good. It'll be good.
Have Autumn on.
Yeah.
So she can really tell us what she's thinking.
We won't have to say a word. She'll just go.
Right.
She'll just go.
No question.
Yeah. She'll have some hot opinions, not worry about anything, just shrapnel and things just flying as she just goes. Yeah. So it'll be good. Yeah.
We all were the first guests of Rock 30.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
it's
you.
been a lot
Appreciate
of fun.
y'all.
Yeah, it's been great.
So we'll decide if we make this a two-parter or not, because this is a long time for people to have to sit and hear us yuck it up. But it's a good start. It's a good start. Yeah, we appreciate y'all.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
And
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for having us on.